Welcome into a Tuesday edition of Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio. Heard exclusively on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. He's R.A. Timken. I'm James Westling. T-Chains is back in the house.
Yo, yo.
Our producer. The Heisman finalists are out. The transfer portal is already complete chaos. And we will get to our Big 12 Today yearly awards later on the show, diving deep there with offensive linemen and general manager, best assistant coach in the Big 12. We've lined up some outstanding guests, including David Smoke of Sikkim 365, to talk about all the Baylor movement. Their defensive coordinator's headed to North Texas, head scratcher there. They've got a new athletic director. Fans are raving about what he had to say yesterday. You'll hear from him. It's a Takeaway Tuesday. Ari, good morning.
How are you? You're dressed like an olive today.
Well played. Truly, green, black, green.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
I just want to put you in my martini.
Who wouldn't, right? Sip me right up. Just sip me right up. Well, I have been on pins and needles to hear about your journey because you clearly had a gift card in 5 minutes at the PGA Superstore. So what was it like?
Just going to go hit the back nine after this.
Yep.
It's something that I would say if I golfed.
Going to shoot a 78 at the local muni and then hit taxes later this afternoon.
Sounds like a day. Absolutely. That was a good one. Did ChatGPT write that one up, or did you come up with that?
I mean, a little bit of both. It's a hybrid. That's what we do here. We hybrid.
Well, we don't do that. I just came up with the olive joke on my own.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
That's impressive.
Thank you. I got to a point with ChatGPT, so a little behind the curtain here. James and I would take photos of each other every day and then put them into ChatGPT and then ask ChatGPT to roast them. And I found a very similar pattern every day with ChatGPT and what you were wearing. Mm-hmm. And so I've done away with that altogether, and I'm just going to come up with my own jokes for my own noggin.
Well, based off of, what you did Saturday with no monitor and no laptop,
that's right,
no notes, all off the dome.
I'm fairly certain that you should bring that up every single day from here on out. Just, 5 years from now down the road, you'll be like, yeah, remember like 5 years ago? I'd be like, oh, God, should get some sort of award for that.
Will's gone, so now I've got to step in as the ultimate hype man. And Taman, we're going to need to see more hype. Okay, that's one thing that Will really brought to the table. He was the ultimate hype man.
You know what? The vacation did me good, so I am hyped.
Okay.
I am all in.
Okay, I like that. It's better than all out.
Yeah.
It's good.
That's right.
It's a Takeaway Tuesday. What's your biggest takeaway as we sit here today?
In life? just your biggest takeaway from life.
Tell me more about your personal life. Yes.
Yeah. Biggest takeaway. It's good to start your car about 4 to 5 minutes before you want to drive it when it's cold outside.
Okay.
I'd say like sub 40 temperatures. Mm-hmm. Get it going a little bit before you just hop in and start driving away.
Man, I'm old school. I raw dog that thing.
Oh.
I get in there, frigid, coat on. We lock and load and we go.
Nope. Should start your car early. Give it a little nice warm up there.
Do you have a remote start?
I do.
Okay. So I would have to go out and get close enough in proximity that I'd have to get in the car actually to start the car. I don't have remote start.
Got it. And you don't have a garage.
Well, we do. We just have a lot of stuff in it to where I cannot park my car.
And it's all stuff I'm sure you need and use constantly.
Yes. Seasonal decorations. Okay, the seasons aren't going anywhere, obviously.
That's it? Can I help you organize your garage?
Yes, please.
Okay. I
have a whole list of things you can come over and help around the house with.
I'll just plug it into ChatGPT and then send it to you.
But have you seen our garage?
No.
Okay. I was going to say, did you venture out there when you guys came over? I didn't know if that's where this was stemming from. I wouldn't. I would not. I would not do it.
So it's all seasonal.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not. There's a lot of seasonal decor out there.
I don't know if it's just an Earth thing or if it's a Dallas thing, but there are a lot of people that I know that don't park in their garage for the same reason, and I'm left wondering why.
I can tell you why.
The garage is best suited, in my opinion, for a place for cars to go, so that they can be a little bit warmer, a little more insulation, maybe a little bit colder in the summertime. Just get rid of everything. Would that not fly?
No, I think it would fly.
Okay.
It's just a matter of getting to that point. It's too overwhelming now. There's so much stuff that we have to go through that it's way too overwhelming for us to tackle because it would take so long to go through it. But I'm with you. So I didn't even know that parts of the country existed where homes don't have basements.
Yeah.
Until I moved down here.
Oh yeah, Texas, Florida. Yeah, anywhere in
That
the
blew
south.
my mind.
The sediment's not good enough.
Right. There's no basements here. And
Yeah.
so like other parts of the country, homes naturally have a ton of storage. And here there is zero storage. Especially in a large city like this where a lot of even the nicer homes were built way back in the day and have been remodeled, and unless you're living in like one of these 4-story multi-million-dollar mansions, like your house is not that big. And so the extra rooms, a la the garage, become your storage.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, we just get rid of a lot of our stuff. We found that's the best way to.
You live in a tiny house and travel the country.
No, but we just don't have a lot of crap.
That's great, man. Good for you guys.
We do, though, have seasonal decor.
Like, remember the Seinfeld, the Seinfeld episode / bit where it's just we get each other stuff, we just buy each other stuff, and we all just accumulate more and more stuff. What's with all the stuff?
Yeah, lots of
Why
stuff.
do we need so much stuff?
We don't. Someday we'll die, and our stuff will die with us, and then our kids will have to take care of it and throw it
The
all
kids-
out.
Yep, the stuff just gets passed down.
Just let Lacey know, hey, everything in the garage, we're just leaving for the kids to have to deal with after we die.
I mean, she would love nothing more than for you and I to clean out that garage.
Awesome.
So
I'll do it. $100 an hour. Perfect. Let's go.
$100 an hour. Well done. All right, we'll see what we can do in
It'll
30
take me
minutes.
700 hours.
Move as slow as possible. All right, the Heisman finalists are out. That's probably my number one off-the-cuff takeaway.
Oh, okay.
Jacob
You
Rodriguez.
don't have a life takeaway here for me? I gave you some great advice.
Give me just let's get a little bit into the show, and we'll come up with the James tips. Okay, I've got so much life advice. Jacob Rodriguez did not get invited to the Heisman. I would say that probably Diego Pavia took his spot, or maybe Jeremiah Love, the running back at Notre Dame.
Yeah, Jeremiah Love, I would say.
It's like these guys said, "Oh, hey, sorry Notre Dame, we didn't put you guys in the playoff, but we'll send an invite to your running back so that he can go to New York and you guys can get the publicity that way." But Jacob Rodriguez gets the Defensive Player of the Year award, one of them. There are so many awards in college football that I struggled to keep them all straight in my head. But he gets a defensive award, but he does not get invited to the Heisman, which is unjustified in my opinion.
So just to apples comparison here, Jeremiah Love, the running back for Notre Dame, rushed 199 times for 1,372 yards and 18 touchdowns. He also had a 6.9 yards per carry average. He added 280 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns, so 21 total touchdowns. Just for S and giggles, L.J. Martin, 236 carries, 1,305 yards, 12 touchdowns, an average of 5.5 per carry. So, fairly comparable seasons. I guess a little bit more on the yards per carry average for Jeremiah Love. L.J. also added 31 receiving yards, so not nearly as much in terms of the touchdown and receiving yards category. The reason I bring this all up would be simply because why do we invite Jeremiah Love to New York? Other than, and this probably shows more than anything, just the visibility that Notre Dame has, that we think that, like, well, they're pretty good and their best player is their running back, so let's get him out to New York City, as opposed to Jacob Rodriguez, who's had a historic season. Right? I mean, and that's sort of where we're at from a Heisman standpoint. It's obviously such a huge focus of the national consciousness throughout the season. But, like, Jeremiah Love just had a good season. I mean, and so maybe you're right. Maybe it's some sort of a consolation prize. You didn't get to go to the playoff, but your guy at least gets to go to New York City. But Rodriguez had a historic season. I would have been happier if it was just the 3 quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. I would have felt a little bit better. But the fact that Love got invited despite having like a decent... I mean, L.J. Martin should have been invited then based on based on what Jeremiah Love's season looked like. They're both two teams that didn't make the playoff. They both made the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Probably both could have had a case to make the playoff. Both would have been great to see playing each other because there's an argument, against one another for the entire season. It's hilarious. This is what happens when you cry and bitch and moan like Notre Dame has. Good job, Notre Dame. Good job, good effort. Meanwhile, Jacob Rodriguez won the Bronco Nagurski Award for the best defensive player in the country, so he is gobbling up other awards. He won already the best linebacker award for the Butkus Award, and now he's won the Bronco Nagurski. I'm assuming he'll win more awards. But, yeah, I would have been less upset about this, James, had Love not been invited.
Okay. So I agree on the surface that Jacob Rodriguez should have had that spot because of what you said with what he's done this season and how historic it has been. Jacob Rodriguez has had a season that no other linebacker has maybe ever had. Like, you could nitpick his numbers and look at certain stats and say, well, this guy had more tackles per game this season. This guy had more, pass breakups this season. But collectively, I mean, he is doing things that no linebacker has done since Manti Te'o 13 years ago. And he got invited as a finalist for the Heisman.
Where'd he go?
Notre Dame.
Yeah, how about
Shocking.
That? Meanwhile, Scooby Davis had a better year than both of them and did not get invited for Arizona.
Right, and that's the
brands
guy.
matter.
They do. But I will say Jeremiah Love is a baller. Like, he single-handedly put Notre Dame on his back this year. He averaged 7 yards a carry.
You know what that says to me? Why don't they get him more carries? Maybe they would have made the playoff.
Yeah, so you brought up L.J. Martin. L.J. Martin had 236 attempts this season, and Jeremiah Love had 199.
Yeah.
So basically, L.J. Martin, who was even hurt a couple of games, or he had games where he was only getting like 7 to 10 touches.
You're right.
Jeremiah Love played in every game, and he didn't get the ball enough, in my opinion. Totally agree with that mindset. But the Big 12 gets hosed. Once again, this time it's Jacob Rodriguez not getting invited to New York. He should be there. The other note that I had just kind of here for some fodder was based off this year's rankings and the conference standings. Ross Dellinger, who joined us a couple of weeks ago on the program from Yahoo, so he put together what a 24-team playoff would look like. And it's not just all willy-nilly. This is the Big Ten's proposed format. So the field with 4 automatic bids for each power conference and then 2 group of 5s and then 6 at large, which is the proposal that the Big Ten has brought to the table. So I won't go through the entire bracket, but long story short, it actually looks pretty good for the Big 12. This 24-team field would have 5 teams from the Big 12 in because Arizona would be in a position based off the rankings that they would get an at-large bid. Houston would actually be in this 24-team field from the Big 12. And then your obvious choices of the top 3, Texas Tech, BYU, and Utah. 24 feels like a lot of teams. I mean, we are really revolutionizing the sport, and maybe not in the best way. If we're going from just 4 teams a couple of years ago to all of a sudden 24 teams, this looks like an NIT men's basketball bracket. It's huge, but it would look pretty nice on paper for the Big 12.
Well, and just like holistically, the sport itself has always been different than traditional sports in America in terms of a playoff. Every other sport, like this looks fairly normal in terms of what a playoff bracket would look like. Like, I'm off the top of my head, I'm not sure how many NFL teams make the playoffs. It's
12.
Four division winners, 12 total. 4 division winners and then 3 wild card teams, right? So that's 7. It's 14.
Yeah, I think the NFL, they expanded a couple of years ago, so now it's 14.
Hard to keep track. At any rate, like this somewhat resembles what we're most, more likely used to when it comes to the playoffs for the sports that we pay attention to the most. And I mean, it's like, it just kind of comes down to like the mentality that you have over the playoff. Like the college football playoff used to be and has been forever, like your regular season is the playoff. So if you lose a game or you lose 2 games, it basically takes you out. Like there was a point in time for the BCS National Championship where if you lost a game, it was hard to get in, and and if you lost more than one, there's no chance. It was always going to be undefeated or one-loss teams. Then it expanded, and now it's it's like 2 losses could get you in, depending on how good your resume is. And now we're at a situation where you get a 3-loss Alabama team in, which was unprecedented in the previous iteration. Again, this just all goes back to like, what do you want, right? Like, do we want our playoff system in college to represent the same type of system everywhere else, which is you can have like a good season and still make a playoff and make a run and get hot and win a championship, or in college where it's like you have to have a great season in order to get to the playoffs. And it's like the more teams you introduce, the less great you're having. And now you look at this. I mean, this is just a group of teams that had good to above average seasons, right? I mean, Houston had a good season, great relative to their last few years, but a good season. Pitt had a good season. Pitt would get in with the 4th automatic bid. Duke had 5 losses. They won the ACC. They'd get the bid. Whatever. It just again comes down to like, what do you want your college football playoff to look like, and are we okay with good teams getting in as opposed to the current model, which has great teams getting in, and even less great than it used to be with 4 teams.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think the whole bowl system is on very shaky ground, because as the college football playoff expands, the traditional bowl system gets minimized. I mean, this is the first time ever that we've seen programs with the pedigree of a Notre Dame, 2 from this conference, Kansas State, Iowa State, entire teams and programs opt out of bowl games. It used to be, maybe a couple of players will opt out because they're getting ready for the NFL draft and they don't want to get hurt. And then it was, you've got the transfer portal, so guys don't want to play in their bowl game because they want to go in the portal. Now we have entire teams, because of the portal and coaching changes and everything else, for many different reasons. But the bigger this college football playoff gets, the less and less teams are going to go play in these bowl games, even if there is a $500,000 fine or whatever it is. There are so many reasons why these teams are bailing on these bowl games, and you could, whether that's a problem for college football depends on your stance and how much you love bowl games. It's all subjective. But the bottom line is it's shifting and it's changing right before our eyes.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. It's funny because for some reason I had in my mind that like team opt-outs have happened before, and I mean, they haven't. The only time they did was in 2020 when we had COVID and there were 10 teams that opted out. You look back historically, and this is the first time beyond COVID that teams have opted out. So, yeah, I guess I've conflated players opting out with teams opting out.
Right.
And now we've got 3. And to your point, like, yeah, I would imagine this is the floor for future opt-outs. Even in a 12-team playoff, we're going to continue to see this because you've got Notre Dame opting out because they're protesting something. They're protesting not getting in because they won't, quote-unquote, won enough games, whatever. Or Iowa State or Kansas State in that ilk, we've got new coaching staffs and we're trying to turn the page to 2026. We're going to see more and more of that.
Exactly.
And especially to your point, in future expansion, where again, like the goal is to win a title. It's funny because we've always thought like the bowl system was a bit weird in recent history because of the playoff. Like there's a clear like inverse reaction here. The more teams you expand the playoff to, the more likely it is that teams will see the bowl as being what they are. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, I think it completely diminishes all of the positives of the bowl season. Like I think Iowa State and Kansas State, the visibility you get in playing in those games, the extra practices to see what you've got and developing behind some of these guys that played last year that might be on their way out. To me, the positives far outweigh the negatives.
And it's an extra game for the fans. The fans are the ones that are hurting in all of this. I was excited to see where Kansas State and Iowa State, where they were going to play their bowl game. For Kansas State, you go 6-6. Looks like they were going to be in the Armed Forces Bowl, which is right here in Dallas. I think Dallas is the second largest populated area for K-State alumni. Kansas City's number 1. K-State graduates move to Kansas City and live there for most of their lives. Dallas is the second biggest market for K-State alums.
I'm always shocked when I'm driving around the city and I see a K-State sticker on someone's car. It's like, what? Why
Yeah,
would you go to
there
K-State, not Kansas?
There are a ton of Wildcats down here that would have loved to have been at that game. Same thing for Iowa State. Iowa State had an 8-4 season. Like, they were going to a very nice bowl game. Their fans would love to attend that game. And their fans have traveled historically really well for whatever bowl game they're in. So I think the fans are the ones that are hurting in all of this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, in most cases, the consumer gets hurt the most, and that's exactly what you're saying here. Yeah, totally agree.
We are the consumer. All right, coming up next, let's dive into some of the most important developments for Big 12 football this season. The portal is already unhinged, and it hasn't even opened. Also, we will dive into Iowa State and their coach, Jimmy Rogers. You'll hear from him later on in the program. He already landed maybe his first commitment. And then David Smoke from Sikkim 365 will join us towards the tail end of this hour to talk about Baylor's new athletic director, who has big ideas for the Baylor Bears down in Waco. He's Ari, I'm James. We're locked in, brought to you by Modelo here on Big 12 Today, on Big 12 Radio, and on Big 12 Studios. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. Big 12 Radio. We podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, right here. Tune in on demand. Tune in is your official home for Big 12 Radio. We are brought to you by Modelo. Simulcast on Big 12 Studios. He's Ari, I'm James, and we have called an audible to welcome in David Smoke from 365 Sports on YouTube. Joins us from Waco to talk all things Baylor. Hey, Smokey, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How we doing? Everyone got the cobwebs out after the great weekend in Arlington. It was a hell of a performance and a great event.
Yeah, that Texas Tech team, man, they are legit. Tell us about everything down in Baylor. We see Matt Powledge, the defensive coordinator, is headed to North Texas, which feels kind of weird. But then also the new athletic director, press conference yesterday. Just what's the biggest headline in Waco?
Well, it's the AD job, and it's a unique and interesting hire. I've known Doug myself just because of when he was at Baylor before. Back when I arrived in 2010, he was a part of Baylor, but then started working in athletics. But last night, I got kind of a little bit of a feel about the Matthew Powledge situation, which we can get to that a little bit later on. And I traded a few texts with him, in fact, as well, as one of the reasons why some teams decided, even if they were given an opportunity to be in a bowl game that weren't supposed to be, is like for about the last week and a half, 2 weeks, they've been reconstructing and maybe even telling, some players they're gone. Roster cuts, coaching changes. Matthew Powledge is a salt-of-the-earth guy.
Yep.
He's been at Baylor a couple of different times. But it's the AD deal. They had the event. We were on the air during the time that Doug was introduced and had a Q&A and all of that. But look forward to sitting down with him myself and with Paul and Craig and having a conversation. But it's just been, I was thinking about this, guys, last night. It just seems like, and this is not it is, like there's always something that like flares up at Baylor. And I don't know if it's sometimes they can't get out of their own way or it's just part of time, in the calendar. But we all know what's going on. Mac's not around anymore. Then the decision to keep Aranda. I think Ren Baker was the number one choice, West Virginia. In fact, I'm pretty much spoke with him a couple of different times last week, and the timing was not good. But this is what they have, and it's somebody that has done really well as a businessman, a CEO, president of Magnolia, etc., in Doug McNamee.
So do you like the hire, Smokey? Do you think it's the right move, the right person at the right time, or would you have liked to see somebody from outside the Baylor family get this job?
Well, when Dr. Livingstone released that statement, there was a couple of different things. One, that they wanted to get a Power 4 AD. And I think that they looked around, and I do think that you immediately thought of Jeremiah Dickey. That wasn't going to happen. They just took care of him, even though would be a great choice. Then there was the Ren Baker. Timing for him and his family's not good. And then there was obviously, I think you could always go, hey, Jared Mosley at North Texas. Then you get your football coach. Then you get your quarterback. And then who else is under the tree? But that didn't work out because Eric Morris is no longer a part of that equation. I know Doug. I haven't seen him in a while. I played golf with him a couple of different times. I saw how he ran fundraising at Baylor. He was a rock star. And I think this is fair. I'm happy for him. I hope it works out for Baylor. And when I say that is that I'm not going to just say, oh, it's a great hire because I know him. I think there's some things that he can bring to the table. And I do think that even though he's a clean-cut, heck of a guy, but I also think that Doug might have a little bit of that in him where he's not afraid to make decisions, which you hope not, because they have a lot of decisions to make. From even the game day atmosphere to what's around the stadium, the tailgating, to are you going to be able to hire, and if you hope, there's going to have to be some changes when it comes to coaches. I don't know of, but maybe one or two sports, guys, in Baylor athletics that's as good now as they were 3 or 4 years ago, and not many at all that are as good as they were 8 to 10 years ago. So they've got a lot of work on their hand, but the main focus, of course, is what they're going to do with football, and they've already said Dave Aranda's coming back for a year.
Right, so Dave Aranda's back next year. But, I mean, what does he have to do to be back in 2027? And then how much can McNamee help in terms of, you brought up the fundraising and the NIL piece, to put him in a position to acquire, he's going to have to turn over a large chunk of his roster, and he'll need dollars to do that.
Well, that's one of the things that Doug's supposed to be able to do, and rally not only those who spend already, but rally some new blood, some new money, or at least money that needs to be accelerated from the donors or boosters or the alums or whatever. Doug McNamee has run again, and people like, well, he ran Field and Stream. Well, he ran that's a national company. Of course, we know what Magnolia's about. Chip Namias, I would think that there's some money there. It doesn't mean he hasn't been sending some in the first place, but at the same time, I'll tell you this, after the game on Saturday, and Aranda, and this is not to try to be edgy, but one of the first things Doug could have done if he would have had the opportunity would have been interesting, and I'll ask him this at one point. What if Dr. Livingstone had not what if the Dave Aranda piece was still unknown? What would you do? What would you do? I don't know if he'll tell me that, but what would you do? Because that's out of his hands, at least for now. But that doesn't mean – someone brought this up to me. Does that mean they can't change their mind in 5 or 6 months? I don't know that. I wouldn't think so, because you've committed to coming back. But you talk about rallying the fan base, because I still think a lot of people, no matter how much they believe in Doug McNamee, it all comes back to football. If you look at some of the responses on social media, Dave Aranda had a get together with the media national signing day, and he was in his element, which is around watching and looking at film and breaking down film. And I even asked him, I said, can you change your personality at your age? And I mean, he's not I'm 66. He's young compared to me. I know one thing, I don't think I can. I mean, I can mellow a little bit. I think I have over the years, but I'm still who I am. Can you change? Can you just change who you are? And do you change because you really think that's what you need to be, or because that's what you've told you need to be?
Yeah.
And, so Matthew Pallage is on his way out the door. Do you know there are, and I can't think of them off the top of my head, there are 8 to 12 coaches that have left since Dave Aranda took over. Now, of course, there was changes when he took over. He wanted his own people, but he's been through Ron Roberts, a defensive coordinator, and he's bounced around too. You remember, Larry Fedora from the beginning. Then you've had Matthew Pallage, who's been here twice, and now headed to North Texas. And was he kind of said, hey, you probably need to look for something new? Because Aranda even said on Wednesday of last week that I think that he's looking for somebody to come in and call the defensive plays and the schemes. Well, that's what he does. And he's tried that. It did not work out. They were terrible, especially the last couple of years. Pallage came in, and there were some things that got better in 24, and, of course, they had that nice run at the end. But this year, it just didn't work out. And Matthew's got to be a part of that too, right, along with the other coaches. But he has – I'll tell you this. When I had the story last night that I put out that Matthew Pallage was headed out, and at the time I had heard about North Texas, but I wasn't sure that's where he was going. And then finally I got kind of the green light. He's going to North Texas. Neil Brown was introduced. And then I had a college coach that sent me a text that said, well, on average, there's about 3 guys leaving, because that's what's happened. There have been at least 8 to 12 coaches, some of them fired, some of them have moved on. And, I mean, eventually, I think I've told you guys this, you look around and who else is in the room when the furniture's gone?
Yeah.
Besides you, that Will Smith meme. And I'm not criticizing the changes, but good gosh, I mean, part of this is the fact that nothing ever seems to stay the same.
Yeah, well said. So, all right, let's talk Matthew Pallage. You know, we know that Aranda's defense is Aranda's defense, but he did have Pallage as his defensive coordinator. I mean, does this tell us everything we need to know about Aranda's future beyond this season with Pallage leaving to go to North Texas?
Well, you know, if you're a coach on that staff, and I've talked to a few of them, and you know, texting, or I've been on the phone with, I'd say 2 or 3 of them. I have been in contact, which is something that we don't really get a chance to do very often the last couple of 3 or 4 years. There's not many one-on-ones, which is, you know, depend. Every coach has their own way of doing that. That's their own. That they do whatever they want, but yeah, I think you know, there's no question. What are you going to do with Jake Spavital? He's the offensive coordinator. The offense at the end of the year kind of got stuck, but Jake Spavital still has skins on the wall. And how many people may want him to come their way, or is he going to like proactively find something else? I don't know that, but I would think that every coach on that staff has at least an option or looking at an option. And I would think the Matthew Pallage move for him is great. For him, get away, go find something that's with you. You go do something. And again, he has to also take some of the blame with what's happened on defense. He was not really the defensive coordinator. He wasn't
Right.
titled, but he was, because Aranda was calling the defense the last couple of years. But yeah, I got a feeling there's still going to be more changes on the coaching staff.
Man, it's going to be a wild offseason down in Waco. David Smoke from 365 Sports on YouTube. David Smoke joining us from Waco. Smokey, appreciate your time this morning. A lot going on.
Yeah, there is. And, you know, the good news is the portal opens up, in the first couple of days in January. So that's got to be the 100% focus, right, on how they're going to reconstruct this roster. They turned down the bowl game because they've already started making roster cuts, trying to figure it out. Yeah, there's a lot happening. Doug McNamee is a positive, but let's still see how this is all going to work out.
Yeah, well said. Smokey, appreciate your time. We'll talk soon.
You too. Thank you.
Take care, buddy.
David Smoke, 365 Sports, 365 Sports channel on YouTube as Baylor introduces a new athletic director. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. We are brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo. And coming up next, we'll dive into some of the most important developments in the Big 12 in football for 2025 as we spend this week wrapping up the Big 12 regular and conference championship season. He's Ariam James. This is Big 12 Radio. This is the Big 12 Conference, and this is a different league. Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio. The conversation continues. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. We are brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo. On Big 12 Studios, the Big 12 Fast channel on your Roku device, Amazon Prime Video, DirecTV, YouTube, and many, many other avenues. You can find all of the listings at Big12Studios.com. Special thanks to Anthony Smith, our producer on the video side. He's Ari Timken on social at Ari Sports, ARI Sports. I'm James Westling on social at James Westling. We had David Smoke from 365 Sports. He joined us just moments ago. A lot happening down in Waco. But let's dive into some of the most important developments for Big 12 football in 2025. And already Big 12 football in 2026 is shaping up to be wild. If early indications of the transfer portal season are any indication of what next season could bring, and all the coaching changes that we've seen already just in the last couple of weeks in the Big 12. But what do you think was the number one most important development for the league this year?
Well, I think it's obvious that Texas Tech's dominance was an important development for the league because Texas Tech differentiated itself from the rest of this league in a way that we haven't had in a long time. I mean, even on their way out, Oklahoma, who dominated the Big 12, they had a stretch, I think, of 6 straight Big 12 championships. But then on their way out, I don't think they won in the last 2 years. So this has been a league of parity that has been looking for an alpha. And, I would hope that the perception of the Big 12 moving forward will be guided by the fact that Texas Tech is a legit top dog. Now, I think Tech is still undervalued. When you listen to some of the national media, when it comes to people that cover college sports beyond what we're doing, outside the Big 12 purview, if you will, there's a lot of I like Oregon's run here, like they got a shot. And I think people are looking at the bracket, seeing Texas Tech, and simply not buying Texas Tech. And, so I think they're tremendously undervalued. If they win a game, get to the semis, which I expect them to do, I expect them to beat Oregon in the Orange Bowl. And then we'll see what the semis line up to be. Then it's a dogfight from there, and we'll see how far they can get. But I think if they win a game, get to the semis, that'd be a huge development on top of what they've already done. But I expect them to because I think, it's clear they're one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the country this year. They're up there with Ohio State and Georgia and even, dare I say, Indiana. So I think more than anything, the league becoming more and more top-heavy, which, again, creates sort of a litmus test for the rest of the league. That's a huge development for this league, and I think, the biggest takeaway from the 2025 season.
Yeah, and I think this season, there was clear separation between Texas Tech and everybody else, number one. But then also those top 3 with Texas Tech and BYU and Utah and everybody else, and that was magnified by BYU going undefeated against everybody not named Texas Tech on their schedule, and then also Utah pounding teams 4, 5, 6 in the conference standings. There was clear separation. I'm with you on Texas Tech, man, and being able to win a national championship. All of a sudden, it's become a football team that could maybe win a game in the college football playoff to, I believe they have a chance to win a national championship, which magnifies the type of year that they've had. And as we've watched it develop week after week, it's because they've been so good. I always think back to the beginning of the year when going in, they're barely in the top 25. It's is this experiment going to work? Well, it has. They have scouted. They have evaluated talent. And then Joey McGuire, your Big 12 Coach of the Year yesterday when we did the part 1 of our yearly awards, to get that whole thing to click and everybody on the same page as the league's tone setter. They're physical. They're super deep. They are consistent. They've gone from intriguing to legitimate, reliable contender in the Big 12. And Cody Campbell was on a podcast the other day, and he said, quote, "The analytics people say that we're going to be even better next year," which is scary for the rest of the league. They also have not the 5th, not the 4th, not the 3rd, not the most expensive roster in college football. The numbers are out. They have a top 10 roster in college football financially, but they are number 10 in the country. There are 9 other teams who spent more in college football, including Oregon, on their roster, and they haven't been able to put it all together like Tech has.
Yeah, and, the comments from Cody Campbell are interesting because you're wondering like what he's talking about, because on the surface it appears he's talking about the recruiting class that's coming in. They're going to have access to more 5- and 4-star talent than they've had. But can those guys replace David Bailey and Jacob Rodriguez and Ben Roberts and some of the guys they're going to be losing? Baron Morton, only time will tell. And I'd imagine that being the backbone, and then what they end up doing in the portal will satisfy Cody's comments.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm assuming they'll have some sense of who's going to be in the portal and who's going to be available and who they'll have to choose from. I don't know that Sam Levitt will end up at Texas Tech, but I certainly think they're going to go find a quarterback in the portal, a quarterback to start in the portal. So those are interesting comments. The other thing, I think there's a few other things. So look at the success of the corner schools for the Big 12 their first 2 years in this conference. So a year ago, Arizona State is one of the newest members, won the league. This year, we saw Utah, Arizona have an incredible amount of success, especially relative to what they did the first year. So I think that's a huge development. This league added 4 teams from the former Pac-12 that have, become, really productive members of this conference. And then, I look at the job of Brett Yormark as a huge takeaway. When you look at like the Union Jack Classic at Wembley that's going to be played in 2026, you look at this partnership that was just announced with the NFL. There's, the media rights being expanded beyond just ESPN and Fox, with TNT getting in on the football side and what the investment that TNT made on the football product. Hopefully that relationship expands further. Peacock and CBS on the basketball side of things. So I think like the work that Yormark has done behind the scenes to really grow and continue to grow the portfolio of the Big 12, like it's clear we're seeing this is phase 2 of Brett Yormark's thinking, and I can't wait to see what phase 3 looks like. But I would think, in terms of like big picture developments, what Brett Yormark did behind the scenes, the Union Jack Classic, the partnership with the NFL, other partnerships that have come to light, and then of course, expanding the media portfolio, huge developments for the league from the league office this year.
Totally agree. And he was just named to the Influence 125, which is the 125 most influential in sports business in the past 25 years. This is a really impressive list, and the impact has been undeniable. The influence continues, and this is their words, to shape the next frontier of leadership in sports. And he's always telling us that if the Big 12 is a stock, it is rising, and let it play out on the field. Well, only one team gets the opportunity in football this year to do that. So let's go see what they do on the field. If they make some noise, it's so good for everybody else in the Big 12. And then in men's basketball, and we'll touch on this later, every week in the AP Top 25, this is the week that one of the top 12 teams ranked go on to win the national championship. I think that's 4 or 5 teams in the Big 12 this year. I think the Big 12's in as good as a spot as it's ever been. It is dominating in the non-conference. So collectively across the board, more so just than football, the Big 12's in a really good spot.
You can't just glance over this really important statistic that seems completely random and yet somehow has stood up over the last 20 years.
The basketball stat?
Yeah, so this week, week 6 AP poll, every single team that has won a national championship dating back to 2003-2004 when UConn won, every team that has won a title has been ranked in the top 12 of the week 6 AP poll. It is a bizarre and random stat. I wonder how anybody stumbled upon it in the first place. Like, why week 6 of all of the weeks? But so what that means is Arizona, Iowa State, Houston, and BYU are the Big 12 teams that can win a national championship. I don't know if I look at this one as cut and dried in black and white as I do the blue chip ratio, but it's really compelling. Every single team that's won a national championship has been ranked in the top 12 week 6. And maybe when you look at like those teams week 7 and week 8 and beyond that, they continue to be ranked in that spot and don't drop, which says that they start to build something at this part of the season. But it's just a really interesting number.
Okay, so it's 4 teams, correct? It's Arizona, Iowa State, Houston,
And BYU.
and BYU.
Yeah.
4 of the 12 from this conference.
Yes.
Arizona's number 1, by the way, in this week's poll. Iowa State has climbed 6 spots to number 4.
The funny thing is Illinois is at 13. That's funny. I can't win it.
Can't win it, have no chance. No chance. Number 13, just outside, looking in. Big 12 football, most important developments. So you said Texas Tech. Love that. I was thinking the coaching movement earthquake, but that's really post-2025. So I'll remove that. I would say just the fact that I think from the play on the field, these teams are more well-rounded this season than we've seen in the past. Like, we've seen really, really strong quarterback play. This is the year of the quarterback in the Big 12. Well, the quarterbacks, several of them aren't going to bowl games. It was unexpected. Sawyer Robertson down at Baylor is the first that comes to mind. Sam Leavitt missing most of the year. Now he's going to transfer out of Arizona State. But I would say the defenses, major uptick. In the trenches, the line of scrimmage, uptick there with what BYU and Texas Tech and Utah and even Houston did on the line of scrimmage this year. And I think you look at the teams at the top, like Kansas is Jalen Daniels, fantastic year. Sawyer Robertson led the nation in passing. Those are teams that are missing a bowl game, but the teams like BYU with a freshman quarterback, because they were so good at the line of scrimmage, Utah with arguably the newcomer of the year in Devin Dampier at quarterback, but not super flashy offensively, line of scrimmage in the trenches. I think the league is getting better and better there. And it also circles back to recruiting, where the league has seen a tremendous leap, especially with this 2026 class.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you look at Texas Tech and BYU, you look at Utah and Arizona, you look at Houston. I mean, some of the teams at the top of this league this year, even Arizona State, all really good running teams, the best rushing teams in the Big 12 with really good defenses. So, as much as we talked about the year of the quarterback in the Big 12 this year heading in, it ended up being the best defenses, the best running games, the teams that are going to compete towards the top of the conference. And to me, for my money, the combination of Jacoby Williams and Cameron Dickey, despite not leading the league in terms of overall rushing, the best rushing attack in the Big 12. Mm-hmm.
It's not officially portal season, but we're getting closer. And Sam Leavitt has made it very clear that he's gone. Didn't attend the Arizona State year-end banquet. He was the only captain not in attendance. Everybody else, including a left tackle who's also going to transfer out, still attended that banquet. Arizona State coach Kenny Dillingham is back next season, but here's what Coach Dillingham, clip 2, said about Sam Leavitt's future.
Well, from that perspective, I'm going to leave that to Sam's team, out of respect for him, for how they want to, progress from that. I love Sam. Sam grew so much here, and, he really did. And I grew so much learning from Sam. And I wish, whatever his future holds, I wish him nothing but the best. I absolutely want to see him succeed. And I can sleep really well at night knowing that we helped him progress himself along his journey. That is now the craziness of college football. With that, I'm very, very confident that we're going to have a really, really good quarterback at Arizona State. I can say that I'm very, very confident we're going to have a good quarterback at Arizona State.
Wow.
We will have a good quarterback at Arizona State.
Looks like he's got a guy. It's truly amazing. Like, the stuff we see in the portal is just not even, I would say half of it, but not even. Like, we know nothing about what's happening right now behind the scenes. That, you classified this as being kind of portal madness. And it's funny because it's like, based on those comments and some other things you hear from coaches, like, they have a really good sense of a good percentage of what that portal is going to look like. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, probably have already had those conversations.
Brendan Sorsby getting offers for $3 to $4 million a year, but I
mean, Sam Leavitt knows where he's going.
You think he knows where he's going?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I mean, I just love Dillingham's approach that we're going to have a quarterback next year. We're going to have a really good quarterback next year. Whether he knows who it is now, he knows who's going to be out there. It's like when Kelvin Sampson says, we're going to have a point guard, whether Milo Suzan stays in the NBA draft or not. Jamal Shed leaves for the NBA. How are you going to replace Jamal Shed? Well, you bring in Milo's. Like, you're always going to have it's next man up mentality at these programs. Last one for me, South Carolina has hired TCU's offensive coordinator, Kendall Briles. He is leaving TCU to become the next offensive coordinator at South Carolina. So some coaching movement when it comes to some of the assistants that we didn't see coming today. This is Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We head into hour number 2. We go around the Big 12, audio from the new coaches at Iowa State. You'll hear from the Iowa State athletic director, Jamie Pollard, Kansas State's Colin Klein. He's their new splash hire. That is all coming up next before we hit our Big 12 Today Yearly Awards Part 2. And then Travis Hines, the Iowa State writer for the Cyclones at the Des Moines Registers, next hour as well. Ari, James, Taman, this is Big 12 Today, brought to you by Modelo. Big 12 Today here on Big 12 Radio and Big 12 Studios. Brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo, here exclusively on TuneIn. Our Big 12 Today yearly awards are coming up in about 15 minutes. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. Texas Tech has a bye in the first round of the college football playoff. Then they get the winner on January 1st at the Orange Bowl, the winner of Oregon and James Madison. He's Ari, I'm James. And I'll add some context to this note from Joey McGuire, but let's hear what Joey McGuire said about his defensive tackle, Lee Hunter, wanting to go home for Christmas. If they got the bye, they wouldn't play on December 19th, and the Texas Tech team would get a few extra days off.
And one of my favorite things, Lee Hunter and I were walking down the hallway, and he said, "Coach, I heard we could possibly get Christmas off." And I said, "Yeah, we'll figure out the time and everything where y'all can go home, but you're going to get Christmas off." He said, "So I'm going to get to see my daughter." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "You shouldn't have told me that, Coach. They're in trouble." And it was really like he was really serious. I thought he was joking. He goes, "I can play even harder, Coach." And so I was like, okay, well, I think somebody might have reminded him before the game, they're trying to keep you away from your daughter on Christmas. So it was good. It was great this morning to get that bye.
I just think that's a really cool story and like an extra layer of why these games matter for reasons that we would never assume. I mean, Lee Hunter is trying to get a bye so that he has more time to spend with his daughter on Christmas. And he went out there and played his you-know-what off, and Texas Tech got a huge win.
Yeah, and obviously, if you're Joey, you're trying to play up the slights to motivate the team, and Joey doesn't even need to make it up, right? I mean, we've seen in years past with coaches, the great teams that have to make up some slights. In this case, though, it feels like that this team's being slighted. And again, I have a sense here nationally that people have no sense of how good this team truly is.
Cannot wait to see them in action in that first college football playoff game, which will be the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. They will get the winner of Oregon and James Madison. As we go around the Big 12, there were a lot of press conference over the last couple of days. Colin Klein at Kansas State, Jamie Pollard at Iowa State addressed the media talking about Matt Campbell's departure for Penn State, Jimmy Rogers, quick turnaround in Ames. They welcome in the longtime South Dakota State player, assistant, and then head coach, won a national championship, spends 1 year at Washington State, and the new Baylor athletic director. Let's just go in order. Let's start with Colin Klein. People calling this the press conference of the year. The new head coach at K-State shares the secret to Bill Snyder's success.
Coach Snyder knew a secret. It's not a complicated secret, but it is the secret that when you stir the spirit of a young man and you make it hard and you make it him go through difficulty and you make him strive to overcome the competitive stamina and the resistance that he has and is able to bring onto the football field or onto that field of battle is different. And he started that in 1989, and ever since that day, that has been bred into every single one of us players that have come through this program. That is not going to change.
Colin Klein, the new hire at Kansas State. He also said K-State will be the new old school. What does that mean?
It's about family. It's about relationships. It's about people. It's about being able to touch and impact the guy next to you, the person next to you, and help make their life better. What is our mission moving forward? We're going to be the new old school, and we're going to stay true to a value system that has been in place for a very, very long time. And we are going to move our program forward and take the steps necessary to chase excellence in everything we do.
Your thoughts on the new K-State coach?
Yeah, I mean, surprise, surprise, Colin Klein, the legendary Kansas State quarterback, killed his press conference. I mean, it's this could not be a more perfect hire. He's obviously he cut his teeth under Bill Snyder, was an assistant under Bill Snyder, was able to stay on staff when Chris Kleiman came, and then really proved his worth to Chris Kleiman. Kleiman brought in his own guys that had been with him, and in a few years, Colin Klein obviously ascended so high that he took over as the offensive coordinator, and You know, I think also leaving and going to A&M for this last season. Was it last 2 seasons or last season?
He's been there a couple of years.
Yeah, a couple of years. That's right, because Cooper Riley took over as the OC last year for K-State. So, or Connor Riley. These C names, Chris Kleiman, Connor, Cooper, Colin. There's just a lot of C names. And as you know, I'm very easily confused.
Well, another CK.
Another CK.
Yeah, Chris Kleiman,
right.
Colin Klein.
Right, Clyde Kleiman. Yeah. At any rate, but like the thing that I zero in on is, we talked a lot about this with Eric Morris being hired at Oklahoma State, like his quarterback development. I mean, Skylar Thompson got drafted, and I'm not sure if he's still on an NFL roster, but had played in NFL games. When you watched him at K-State, when Courtney Messingham was the offensive coordinator, you didn't see another C name, by the way. You didn't see Skylar Thompson as an NFL quarterback.
Right.
What he was able to do this year with Marcel Reed at quarterback. Like I think, sometimes we look at the big names and say like, well, this is a guy that tutored this quarterback, and look at how good he's become. But to me, it's like, what do you do with some of the guys that maybe are having their best seasons? And that's what stands out to me with Colin Klein. Like the Big 12 has introduced two coaches now, in Eric Morris and Colin Klein, that are superb quarterback developers and understand offensive football in 2025. It's the thing we talked about with Colorado, where it's like, what you see is what you get in terms of their Colorado offense under their former offensive coordinator. You need a coach that's way more multiple, and the league's getting younger with its coaches. I mean, think about this. Take a stab at it. Who the longest tenured coach of the Big 12 is right now?
Head coach?
Yeah.
Kyle Whittingham?
That's been in the Big 12.
Okay, that's been in this conference.
Yeah. It's definitely Kyle Whittingham. You're right.
But in the Big 12, it's not Lance Leipold, is it?
It's Dave Aranda.
Dave Aranda. Wow.
Beyond Whittingham is the longest tenured coach in the Big 12. So it's a young coaching staff, a young group. You've got Dillingham. It's, in his late 30s. You've got Colin Klein in his late 30s. I mean, this is a really interesting group now, where you go from some of these, older coaches that have been around a long time to, now Rich Rod's still here. You still have Willie Fritz, but it's an interesting group for sure.
Eric Morris just turned 40.
Yeah.
Like that is the league.
Jimmy Rogers is 38.
These young, flashy hires. Klein at Texas A&M, like when he was at K-State, even though he was only the offensive coordinator for, I believe, 1 season, maybe 2, the K-State offense ranked top 10 in school history in 11 different categories. In 2022, they had the second most yards in school history. They averaged their most points per game since 2017. And then at Texas A&M under Mike Elko as the head coach and Klein as the OC, got off to they had their best season since 1998. They had the number 2 rushing offense in the SEC. They averaged almost 500 yards per game, 454. That's towards the top of the SEC. 36 points per game. Like Texas A&M's offense was a doormat offense in the SEC. They were they were always really good defensively, but they could not score. And he totally flipped that thing around. So that's exciting. Also want to hear what Jimmy Rogers had to say about why he jumped at the opportunity to come to Iowa State after 1 year at Washington State.
In conversating what takes you to get to the next step in your life, we were referencing the next step at Iowa State, yes. Correct? And for me, I didn't take the Washington State job and move across the country to abandon in 1 year. Yeah. I didn't. I took that jump because I believed in that product, in what I could produce there with the region, with how it felt, with the people that hired me, with the feeling that I had in, I was replacing a former coach that I had a relationship with, that I could ask his family, what did you think of the town, the community, the spirit, and get great advice on this is a good job at a great place with special people. When I went there, it was unbelievable. I had a great support. The Coug Nation is somewhat insane. Everything is go Cougs there. And I got to meet a bunch of great people and a bunch of spirited people. And when I got this opportunity, I felt the sense of remorse. There's no doubt about it. But at some point, and I will say it again, I have to think about my family through this, uniqueness in college athletics. And I won't apologize for this, because this is the best thing that's ever happened to me and my family, as far as this opportunity to be close to family, for my son and daughter to grow up with their cousins only a couple hours away. That's rare. But the opportunity to chase a championship, Big 12 championship, national championship, I couldn't turn that down. And to do it for somebody that cares and carries values very similar to me, with a sense of security for the future, it's extremely important. And so, was it true that I was just taking a jump to jump? I wasn't. I was taking the jump to advance my life and to try to compete to get into the college football playoff at the next step. And I know nobody wants to hear it, and I know I'll get bashed, but it is what it is. Everybody will find a way to complain about something, and I'm blessed to be here.
I just think his background and his mindset aligning with that Cyclone culture, which was part of the sales pitch when he interviewed for the job, his ties to the Midwest as a player and as a coach, recruiting those states, finding those hidden gems in the recruiting process. I think he is a slam dunk splash hire that's vastly underrated.
Yeah, I agree. In a major differentiator between like the Eric Morris, Colin Klein hires from the standpoint of this is a defensive first guy. And I mean, it'll be really interesting for Iowa State fans to watch because they've been watching this, rush 3, drop 8 for so many years. This is the complete opposite. We asked Big 12 basketball coaches at media days their thoughts on the zone defense. Remember, we asked every coach. Steve Lutz was probably the most outspoken anti-zone coach. And it feels like that's what this is. Like you're going from new school zone defense to like straight physical man-to-man. Like they're going to play quarters, 4-3. They're going to play press, at the line of scrimmage. Like it's just it's 180 degrees defensively from what they've been doing. It's very much a meat and potatoes type defense. I'm really anxious to see what that looks like. I'm excited. This is and it goes to show you that Jamie Pollard is an athletic director. Like he knew this was coming. He like I think most great athletic directors are thinking 5 steps ahead, and I think he had a short list, and I'm sure that short list evolved over time. But this was a guy that I'm certain was on his short list, and it's obvious that he knew that the fit was there right away because they moved quickly to hire him. And I also think like they probably knew that Matt Campbell was going to leave for Penn State pretty quickly. And if you follow sort of the line here, there were rumors linking Matt Campbell to Penn State. There's then he called a meeting with Iowa State the next morning. My guess is he said, this is what they're offering. This is the kind of NIL access. And Jamie's like, see you later. It's been great. We've enjoyed you. You've done great. Have fun. Good luck. And then he called Jimmy Rogers and was like, all right, let's go. I mean, he got a $4 million per year raise. I mean, I'm sure there's some Iowa State fans that have some hard feelings, but I can't imagine the majority of them that know ball do. I mean, the job of a coach is to leave the program in a better spot than you did when you got there. And, I mean, it's not just in a better spot. It's in a different stratosphere than when Matt Campbell got there. And, Jimmy Rogers is going to be completely different, but I think in some ways he's similar. And in some ways he's perfect for Iowa State because you mentioned it. Like, he is – and this is – like, we've seen this a lot. Chris Kleiman was sort of – it almost like he started this new era where it was okay to hire coaches from lesser levels. Now, he's been at Washington State for a year. So it's not like they hired him straight from South Dakota State. Right. But this is a guy that at South Dakota State, I mean, you got to punch up. You got to find guys that far exceed talent that, the 3-4 star. And, we talked yesterday with his former coach at South Dakota State. I mean, listen, all these NFL guys, Tucker Kraft may be the best tight end in the NFL. He was unranked coming into South Dakota State. Dallas Goedert, he was a first-round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a guy that was a walk-on at one point. Riley Reif has become one of the best offensive tackles in football. So just go through the list of South Dakota State players that have gone to the NFL, and these are guys that are consistently outperforming their weight, as it were. He'll recruit better players at Iowa State because, of course, he will. It's not South Dakota State, but I think the development for me, the development piece, what he's shown as a coach, as a leader of men, and the developing of players is second to none.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels between him and where Matt Campbell was when he got the Iowa State job. And it's fascinating to me just the timing of all of it. You have two coaches that played against each other, coached against each other week 0 in Ireland, Farmageddon, K-State, Iowa State, and both of their head coaches are leaving at the end of the season, and it's almost a simultaneous move to be hiring the next guy. Jamie Pollard, by the way, the Iowa State athletic director, a lot of emotions. Clip 11, what he said about Matt Campbell.
You're sad, but, you know, I get it. I've done this long enough that these jobs are hard, and we make sacrifices that fans will never understand. We do. And he's had an amazing run as our football coach and didn't get to do it in front of his family and friends. You know, and he had other times he could have left, and he chose not to. You know, Matt Campbell owes Iowa State nothing because he did more than we could have ever dreamed he would do as our head coach. And so, yeah, a page turns, but none of us are here forever. And so life goes on, and that's how I just viewed it. And maybe, you know, I've been here 21 years. It's not the first time we've gone through something like this. And, you know, the sun will come up on the east like it does every morning, and we'll go on. And that's why I'm excited about where we're going.
Man, that's a guy that you want to root for, Jamie Pollard, the athletic director at Iowa State. Love what he said about Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell did it at Iowa State, but he couldn't do it in front of friends and family. He's from Pennsylvania. I believe this is the one job he was leaving Iowa State.
He's from Ohio. I think he's got family in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
He went to Mount Union. Yeah, I mean, I think the Ohio State job, Penn State job, like, and the thing is with Campbell, like, you're not, you know, you keep saying no, they're going to stop asking. And, you know, so I feel like he probably realized, okay, this is now's the time. Now's the time. I mean, he gave Iowa State an incredible run for a decade. And yeah, I mean, now the opportunity to do it at a place like Happy Valley where they have higher expectations, but if we're being honest, like, you want to coach with high expectations. You know, it's funny, we always hear about open jobs, and I think a lot of people are like, oh, does he want to leave a situation where, you know, he only has to win 8-9 games a year as opposed to going somewhere else where you're, you know, in the fire? And it's like, yeah, coaches want that. Like, these guys are so competitive. Like, we're not thinking on the same wavelength as they are of like, well, you could be scared to get that because of the comfort you have of this current job. I mean, yeah, that's right. Like, you go 8-4 at Penn State and you have a couple of those together, you're not going to be there very long. This is you know, still a good season for Iowa State, but has become under Campbell more of the, you know, the basement than a successful season as it was previous to Matt Campbell. But I'm excited to see what he does there. I'm a huge fan of him and think he's going to be very successful.
Totally agree. And it will be fun to watch him at a new destination. There are coaches that have left the Big 12 that you continue to root for because they do it in the right way. And this is a prime example of doing it in the right way. All right, coming up next year on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, it's our Big 12 Today Yearly Awards Part 2. Part 1 was yesterday. This is Part 2 before we get to Travis Hines from the Iowa State side of things at the Des Moines Register. He's going to join us here in about 20 minutes. But the Big 12 Today Yearly Awards, Best General Manager, Offensive Lineman, Best Assistant Coach, Offensive and Defensive Newcomers of the Year in the Big 12 is next. Here on Big 12 Radio, powered by Modelo.
I'm Spencer.
This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. If you miss any of our guest interviews, you can always catch those wherever you get your podcasts. Big 12 Radio. We podcast on Apple, Spotify, right here on TuneIn, on demand. We are streaming on your screen at Big 12 Studios, the Big 12 Fast channel. Big 12 Radio is brought to you, the full-time fan, by Modelo. He is Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. And yesterday, we started our Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio yearly awards. And it continues today. I just tabbed over to see what we did yesterday, and it's totally blank, so it's not there. I can't remember. But today, I know what we're doing. We are doing Best General Manager, Offensive Lineman of the Year, Best Assistant Coach, Offensive Newcomer of the Year, and Defensive Newcomer of the Year here on Big 12 Radio. So, Ari, kick us off. Who is the General Manager of the Year in the Big 12?
So here's my question to you. Are we going to have any ones that are different from one another, do we think?
I'm thinking probably not, but you never know. There could be a dark horse candidate somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, but I think this one is maybe the most obvious, the most visible general manager in the Big 12, also the best general manager in the Big 12 in 2025, 2026. That would be the Texas Tech general manager, James Blanchard, who famously, along with Cody Campbell and Joey McGuire, put together an incredible roster. When you look at the ways in which this team has dramatically improved year over year, it's obvious the talent was the threshold of talent was raised significantly. And it's funny because David Bailey ended up being the cherry on top because Bailey was not going to be a part of this team. Right. Tory Taylor gets fired at Stanford. You think about the role that Tory Taylor's firing meant for the Big 12 with Bear Bachmeier and David Bailey. That was huge for both of those guys in this league. But, yeah, I mean, I think being the architect of the most aggressive roster build that we've seen in this new Big 12, 22 transfer portal additions, 11 of those 22 started in the Big 12 championship game, and then 4 of those newcomers earned first-team All-Big 12 honors. So there's no question the best general manager in the Big 12 this year was James Blanchard.
Yeah, he turned Texas Tech, and I mean this in the best way, he built a bully. I mean, their roster overhaul hit everywhere. Edge rushers, defensive backs, some at the skill positions. He's a portal assassin. I mean, he got difference makers that fit within their scheme. They didn't just go over guys, go after guys based off of their star rating. He is the architect and the mastermind behind it all. And McGuire's vision works because of James Blanchard and what he's able to do. And every team in the Big 12, every program, should have a general manager. Maybe they're not all James Blanchard, but it is a position now. And we're seeing more of these roles added in the Big 12 Conference. Teams need a GM in today's era of college football, somebody that is scouting and evaluating talent as a full-time job. They don't coach. They just go get dudes to better the roster.
Yeah, and really you need a GM with an entire scouting and personnel department. You need, you look at the NFL and, they've got advanced scouts that are scouting games ahead, teams they're going to be playing. You've got, scouts that are college scouts that are looking at the college ranks. I think you need an entire scouting department. And, yeah, I mean, you may not have a GM in name across the country. There's tons of different general managers that have different titles, but I think it's obvious and becoming clear that you need some sort of a personnel department and somebody to head that up. And James Blanchard has been incredible at it. In fact, I've been working this week to try to get him on the show.
All right, Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year here on Big 12 Today. Who's your Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year? One dude.
Spencer Fano. Also the guy you have. Yeah, I mean, 0 sacks allowed, 8 total pressures on 294 pass blocking snaps. Anchor of a line that powered a top 10 national offense, a 10-2 record. They had the best rushing offense in the Big 12 this year between Devin Dampier and Wayshawn Parker. Also the 2025 Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year. So no surprises here. This was funny enough. If we had done this before the season started, I don't know that these answers would have been much different.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, these guys balled out that were supposed to ball out, and he's going to be a top 10 NFL draft pick. He's projected as a Tier 3 above average NFL starter for the next decade. He is an elite zone blocker. He's got a high floor as a pass blocker. NFL scouts love this guy, and they should. He's 6'6", runs like a deer, over 300 pounds. He was the third highest graded offensive lineman in the country, according to our good buddy Cam Meller over at PFSN 365. Their chief analytics officer, teams, and NFL scouts are drooling over the Utah offensive lineman. All right, best assistant coach. Maybe we go different here.
Texas Tech defensive coordinator Shieldwood.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I mean, again, these are pretty obvious here. Some of these numbers year over year are like incredible to look at. In 2024, Texas Tech was in the bottom half of the Big 12 on third down. They're now top 5 nationally in third down defense. In 2024, this was a team that struggled to create negative plays in the red zone. In fact, their red zone defense was atrocious last year. They're number 1 in FBS stop rate, largely fueled by their red zone denial. Tech went from I hope this goes well defense to they know where the ball is going before the snap. This is a combination of the players they brought in through the portal and the players they already had, and then a brilliant defensive-minded coach in Shieldwood who brought it all together. Like, this is the perfect storm of talent that they had in Rodriguez and Roberts, talent they brought in to solidify that front seven, which, was waning along the defensive line, and then, the right defensive-minded coach that brought out the best in these guys. I mean, David Bailey, not only did he get paid, but he was put in a great situation where he's in that true wide 9 stance. So, like, all he's doing is firing off the ball. Like, very simple. Like, David Bailey, go get the quarterback. That's it. That's all they're asking him to do. Lee Hunter, instead of being a 2-gap guy that has to eat blockers, they put him a shade over, and now he's a 1-gap guy, way more effective. And then Romello Height, I think, him being more of a hybrid, not a read and react linebacker, more of an attacking linebacker. Like, just a good example of, it's not just the fact that they brought in some great talent, which they did. It's that they assigned those guys the right roles that would leverage them in their best abilities.
And we knew Shieldwood was one of the top coordinators in the Big 12, which is why, he was one of the best coordinators last year, totally overhauling and flipping the script on that Houston defense, and he's done it again at Texas Tech. I would go 1B, the offensive coordinator at BYU, Aaron Roderick, to keep that offense humming with a freshman quarterback. I think that they probably had to simplify the playbook at the start of the year to ease him into things. I just think how he managed that entire offense was really well done. So he would be my 1B.
1B for me would be Danny Gonzalez, the defensive coordinator for Arizona. When you look at what their defense was last year comparatively year over year, the dramatic improvement that they saw, turnovers, aggression. I thought really long and hard about giving this to Danny Gonzalez, but it was just so obvious you had to give it to Shieldwood.
Yeah. All right, offensive newcomer of the year and defensive newcomer of the year. Who's your offensive newcomer of the year?
Okay, so I'm assuming we're going to have the same defensive newcomer of the year. The only question here is, do we have the same offensive newcomer of the year? And my offensive newcomer of the year is Devin Dampier, the quarterback for Utah. You also have him?
Same.
Yeah. Again, there's just not much in terms of differentiation we can have amongst this group. Maybe we should come up with we should do day 3 of Big 12 awards and come up with some really off-the-wall awards that will have us talking across the league a little bit better. But, I think Devin Dampier was even better than I thought he was going to be. I looked for some of the potential reasons for the pitfalls. And, can he be consistent throwing the football, especially when teams force them to have to run or force them out of the run? But he was phenomenal. I thought, to lead a team to 10-2, the yardage that he threw for, he limited his interceptions. That was the big thing coming into the season. He was, close to a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio before coming to Utah. He was significantly better in that. His touchdown numbers were incredible. He ranked top 10 nationally in QBR. So, Devin Dampier, the offensive newcomer of the year in the Big 12.
Yeah, his passing efficiency, his QBR, like you said, was really good. And that was the big question mark coming into the season. He had 12 touchdowns and 12 interceptions at New Mexico last year. This year, 22 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. He stayed within himself. He was also explosive on the ground. I do think there are some honorable mentions when it comes to newcomer of the year. Amari Thomas, the wide receiver at Houston, led the league with 10 touchdowns, finished with almost 1,000 yards on the season. He's a UAB transfer who transferred to Houston and had a really nice year. when it comes to, Emmanuel Henderson had a nice year at receiver, but
How
when it
about
comes to like
Bear
quarterbacks,
Bachmeier?
Yep, Bear was the other one. Bear Bachmeier, Connor Wegman, I think, would be in the conversation. There's like a pool of guys that were still really strong, newcomer-wise, but Dampier stood out, no doubt about it.
Dean Connors
Dean Connors, another one.
came over from Rice. He was phenomenal for
Ishmael
them.
Mahdi, running
Ishmael
back
Mahdi.
of Arizona.
Yep.
All right, defensive newcomer of the year.
David Bailey. Weird. Can't imagine who else would be in this category. I mean, again, going back to Shield Wood, putting guys in the right situation, the wide 9, just get him going after the quarterback. That's it. And the results are overwhelming. It starts and ends with his ability to rush the passer, and then what that means to the rest of the defensive line, what that opens up with Lee Hunter. Like, it shows when you've got a legit top edge rusher and David Bailey, the impact that has across your defense. I don't think there's any question that David Bailey would be, the top defensive newcomer in the Big 12 this year. He was second in the league in sacks. No, he led the league in sacks.
Yeah, led the league.
Because John Henry Daly was missed the last couple of weeks or last week. So 13 and a half sacks for David Bailey. He had 15 total tackles. He was a monster this year.
And like the other guys in the league that could maybe be candidates for this are all other Texas Tech players. Like Bryce Pollock led the Big 12 in interceptions. He had 5 picks on the year. The guy that led the Big 12 in tackles for loss was John Henry Daly at Utah, and then it was David Bailey, and then Romello Height is the other one I was looking for, another Texas Tech guy that finished with double-digit tackles for loss and almost double-digit sacks. Like, they're all Tech guys, and just an incredible year that they had. Those are our Big 12 today. Yearly awards. We went through general manager, offensive lineman, assistant coach, offensive and defensive newcomer of the year. Up next, we sit down with Travis Hines from Iowa State, covers Iowa State for the Des Moines Register. We'll talk to him about their new coaching hire, Jimmy Rogers, and, the men's basketball team. Up to number 4 in the AP Top 25. They throttled Purdue over the weekend. Stick with us. It's Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, powered by Modelo. Big 12 Today exclusively on TuneIn here on Big 12 Radio. Watching us on Big 12 Studios, the Big 12 Fast channel, alongside Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. We go out to Ames, Iowa, talking with Travis Hines, the Iowa State sports columnist for the Des Moines Register. Joins us here on Big 12 Today. Hey, Travis. Had Travis, lost Travis. Travis Hines will rejoin us here in just a moment. A lot happening at Iowa State. There he is. Travis is on with us. Hey, Travis, we've got you loud and clear. What's going on?
Hey, how are you guys this morning?
Man, we're good. A lot happening in Ames, where Iowa State's got a new football coach. Matt Campbell headed to Penn State. The basketball team is just destroying people. What are your thoughts on Jimmy Rogers?
Yeah, it has been a whirlwind at Iowa State to go from, literally watching Matt Campbell hug his players in his office to getting an alert on my phone that Iowa State had already hired the next guy. So it has been a bit of a crazy 72 hours or so. I think the press conference yesterday with Jimmy Rogers, I think he said all the right things, which is all you can do in a press conference. And certainly, the rubber meets the road for him immediately, trying to keep this roster as much intact as he can and then build around it. But I think when you look at the resume that Jimmy Rogers has and the vision that he laid out yesterday, it's similar enough to what Matt Campbell had articulated over a decade that I think that there is some hope and excitement at Iowa State that the good times in football can continue, because for a long time, the level of success that Matt enjoyed at Iowa State was a pipe dream for Cyclones fans. So I think there's excitement and apprehension, as there always are when these kinds of changes happen.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess, where is the Cyclone fan right now in terms of, how disappointed are they in Matt Campbell? Or are they, having more of a, reasonable approach considering the success that he had?
I think they're still dealing with a little bit of whiplash, frankly, because that Penn State search had gone on for so long and Matt's name was never attached to it, which was surprising at the outset because that always seemed like a natural fit, maybe not at the top of their list, but I would have imagined their short list. And I think because that he was not an immediate name attached to that, I think Iowa State fans had kind of, let their guard down a little bit to a degree that made Thursday and Friday pretty tough. And I think the fact, I understand why Iowa State felt incumbent to get a coach in place immediately. When you're talking about the transfer portal and a coach potentially taking players with them, you want to have somebody in place. But I think that also led to some disorientation for Iowa State fans, not really able to mourn, grieve, say goodbye to the coach that has meant more to that program than any other coach before, and has been, not only successful on the field, but I think ran a program that Iowa State fans were proud of from top to bottom in the way that they comported themselves. So I do think there's still some whiplash, but I think now that, Jimmy Rogers is in town, Iowa State fans got to hear from him yesterday. They got to see Matt Campbell in Nittany Lion Blue yesterday. So I do think, the page is turning, even if there's, still a little bit of, I think, again, disorientation going on. But I think mostly for the fan base, people understand the opportunity that Matt had at Penn State, and more importantly, what he did at Iowa State. And so there are still some bruised egos and hurt feelings, but I think for the most part, people understand the move and are excited to see what can come next.
Well, I see a lot of parallels between Matt Campbell and Jimmy Rogers, or Rogers and Campbell. And one thing that, Matt Campbell really established was roster retention, even in this NIL transfer portal era. So what kind of a sense are you getting from current Iowa State guys, how they feel about Jimmy Rogers, and what do you think the roster turnover is going to look like with this transition?
Yeah, that'll probably add to the confusion and frustration for Iowa State fans, because Matt and his staff were as good as any in the country in retaining their players, not only their best players, but just in terms of the entire roster. There was minimal turnover year after year, and they never really lost one of those tier one players. And I think that that's inevitably going to happen here. I think the question will be who and how many. And I think it'll be difficult for Iowa State to hold on to some of their top players that came to play for Matt Campbell, that, as Campbell told us last year, their top 20 guys took pay cuts to return to play for him in Iowa State. Are they going to be willing to do that for a new coach in a new system where there's a lot of uncertainty? So I would anticipate a fair amount of turnover. Now, I will say that a year ago, Jimmy Rogers was dealing with a roster that had 60 players in the transfer portal at Washington State, and he was able to, cobble together a 6-6 team there in Pullman. I don't anticipate those kind of numbers turning over at Iowa State. They still have a healthy NIL budget. They're still playing Big 12 football. So I think there will be significant turnover, but I don't know that it'll be devastating numbers where you're completely building a team from scratch like Rogers had to do last year with the Cougars.
Rocco Becht. What do you see Rocco Becht doing?
It's a good question. I haven't heard from Rocco. I haven't heard from his dad, Anthony Becht. But obviously he's going to be a guy that has lots of options. And I would think one of them will be at State College, which is not too far away from Morgantown, where his dad played, where his mom went to school, and where his grandparents live, and where his mom grew up. So I think there will be a natural pull there. But, without having talked to Rocco or his dad, it's hard for me to say. But certainly Rocco Becht, even for the struggles that he had this year, which I think were primarily a factor of his health, is going to be highly sought after if he does hit the transfer portal. And when you're looking at what Iowa State is trying to build and is likely to have to build with significant numbers, I think it's probably going to be hard to pay a quarterback what Rocco Becht would get on the open market. As everybody can be on the open market, as you guys know. So I think like that again, we'll see. Rocco, that was the circumstance is on of
let's try and see
players are potential.
Let's try and see if we can reconnect with Travis.
Yeah, Travis, we're losing your connection here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. Covers Iowa State for the Des Moines Register. So, Travis, we appreciate your time. Great insight into everything going on up in Ames with the Iowa State Cyclones. Travis Hines joining us here on
Thanks,
Big 12.
guys.
Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. Brought to you by Modelo, exclusively on TuneIn. Iowa State men's basketball was where I was headed next. They climbed 6 spots in this week's AP Top 25. They actually got a vote to be ranked number 1. There are 3 undefeated teams in men's basketball in this conference. It's Iowa State, Oklahoma State, and Arizona. Iowa State, we talked last week about how they scored 132 points against Alcorn State, but then they go on the road and they beat Purdue 81-58. And for whatever reason, once again, they continue to be, I think, from a national perspective, I think it's, they're a surprise this season, which we shouldn't be surprised. TJ Otzelberger does this every year. But losing Keyshawn Gilbert and the way that last season finished, I think that people were sleeping on Iowa State, and they look the part so far.
Yeah, but they also were really good at the start of last year. They had some big-time wins, and then injuries kind of did them in. But, yeah, from the early portion of this season, they look like certainly one of the 4 best teams of the conference. I think, maybe the biggest surprise so far has been Texas Tech in terms of not being one of the 4 best teams of the conference. Arizona's been a surprise the other direction, where maybe they weren't thought of as being a top 4 team in the conference. Certainly I didn't preseason-wise, and that has changed. So, Arizona now number 1 in the country. They've got the best resume. They play bully ball. They're fun. Like we talked about it yesterday. They outscored Auburn 60-24 in the paint. In fact, Auburn only scored 68 points in the game. So Arizona had nearly as many points in the paint as Auburn had total in the game. That's the style they play, and it's fun to watch. And I think it's definitely a style that will hold up over the course of the season because, shooting can come and go. You could have bad percentages, but, hitting shots inside, that has some staying power.
Man, that's going to be awesome to see those 2 teams battle this season because, Iowa State they're a big basketball team. Milan Momcilovic is a 6'8" guy that can step outside, averaging 18. Joshua Jefferson is a 6'8", 3/4. He's averaging 18 points, 7 rebounds, and over 5 assists per game. Tamin Lipsey shooting the cover off the ball. Your point guard's averaging 17 and almost 6 assists per game. Their third leading scorer, who Kelvin Sampson said is their best player, is this Killian Torre, a true freshman. And then they added Blake Buchanan, who's 6'11", another stretch four, big guy on the inside who comes off the bench and just rebounds, can knock down shots. Jamarion Bateman is part of their really highly touted recruiting class, another freshman averaging 7. Like they are way more loaded than I thought they were coming into the season. I knew they had returners, but they've pieced together a really nice recruiting class, and they look the part. They are legit at 9-0.
Yeah, and we're getting now closer to conference play. You know, just last few weeks here of
this is the Big 12 conference
of the non-conference. Before we get into conference play at the start of the new year, so a nice, opportunity here these last few weeks of non-conference play to continue to solidify the spot. I think you had this stat. The Big 12 is now 14-2 against the SEC. And while this weekend overall, there were some tough losses for the conference. Ultimately, this conference has done very, very well for itself in the non-conference, which means when you get into the conference play in this quad system bears it out. It looks like there could be a lot of quad 1, quad 2 opportunities for Big 12 teams.
The Big 12 is hands down the best basketball conference in America this season, and right now it's not close. All right, coming up next year on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, we play Valid or Void, 5 topics from the Big 12. Ari's been just voiding these, void and void and void. We'll see if he validates any of these coming up around the corner. He's Ari, I'm James. This is Big 12 Today. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. We're back here on Big 12 Today, your home for the conference conversation. He's Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. We are on Big 12 Studios, big12studios.com to find all the different avenues where you can find the Big 12 Fast channel. You can get it through your Roku device, Amazon Prime, DirecTV, YouTube. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. And we are brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo. Just another example of me talking about Ari in my personal life all the time, just day to day. My stepson says, man, the Chiefs are in trouble. Like, the Chiefs suck, bro. I said, yeah, what was the score of that game? And he tells me, and then I said, Ari always says I'm not a full-time fan because I don't watch every second of the Chiefs.
Yeah, you claim you're a Chiefs fan. They play once a week. It's not like it's not like a baseball season where you have to watch every day. Put 3 hours aside during the week. No, can't do it. Okay.
I mean, this season's over. The dynasty's over.
Yeah, I mean, you heard it here first.
Andy Reid is busy recruiting Kalani Sitake to stay at BYU. He doesn't have time for the NFL. All right?
It's clear the game has passed him by.
Clearly.
Patrick Mahomes should retire. Andy Reid should step aside. And, yeah.
Now, Travis Kelce, it's time. It's time, brother. It's time. As the kids would say, he's washed. That's what they say now. He's washed.
What's Taylor going to do, though? T. Swift can't be dating and engaged to a former NFL player.
Taylor's not been around much this season.
Is it because he's bad and they're bad?
No, it's more so it's just she was becoming a little bit of a distraction. They had a discussion, and so now she's doing more things behind the scenes.
I'll have to tell.
She's hiding at these games.
If you ask me, their record would indicate that maybe not being there is
I would bring her back. I would bring her back. They're paying Patrick Mahomes too much money. Love Patrick, but, man, you can't. That's too much of your cap in one guy.
Yeah. It's really hard to sustain success in sports, especially the National Football League, where if you don't draft well, it's tough. And, like, when you look at it, like some of the best GMs, some of the guys that are noted as some of the best GMs and scouts, like they're going to have off drafts. Like, that happens. So the draft is the lifeblood of the NFL. Like, that's the secret sauce because you've got to get guys that can outperform their contracts. And the reality is only rookies really do that, unless you pick up guys off the street who end up drastically outperforming what they're paid. But in a cap where you have a salary cap, the guys that are most in position to outperform their salary are rookies and guys on rookie contracts. So that's like the bulk of your roster has to be those guys, and that's just tough to sustain every single year.
They're paying Patrick Mahomes $28 million this year.
It's actually not very much.
No, I know. Yeah, Chris Jones is making $23.6. Now, Travis Kelce's at $19.8. All right, so once he retires, that'll clear up some cash.
Actually, it won't. It just accelerates all the burden financially.
I don't know how that works.
You don't get out of it. Yeah,
but I like to think that the Chiefs will have some cap space, a much better draft pick.
All right, and then you'll start watching?
Yeah, then I'll start watching. I want to see the rookies play. Valid or void? All right, 5 hot topics around the Big 12. We've got 5. I give them to Ari, and he will validate or he will void these topics. He's been on a void roll as of late. Let's see if we can flip the script.
Got my red pen out.
Red pen to go along with that bright neon pink red shirt-ish.
Salmon. Okay.
That's salmon?
That's not salmon.
I've never seen a more fuchsia in my life.
Fuchsia. There you go. It's fuchsia.
All right, number 1. Sam Levitt will be starting for a Big 12 team next season. Avoiding this.
SEC. SEC. SEC.
You think he's going to the SEC?
I do.
You don't think he's going to a Big 10 school? Remember, he started his career at Michigan State.
Yep. No, I think he's too much of a known commodity. There's too much money and there's too much of a needed quarterback in that conference for them to let him go. I think he is 100% on his way to the Southeastern Conference. In fact, I think he knows where he's going.
How many teams in the SEC will need a quarterback? Florida will need a quarterback. South Carolina will need a quarterback. Auburn will need a quarterback.
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State will need a quarterback. Texas won't.
Georgia.
Georgia won't. Stockton kid's only a freshman.
Alabama.
Alabama
Probably not.
And Ty Simpson, I think, should be back.
Yeah, he'll have quite the bidding war, and he'll have it amongst SEC schools. I'm going to guess he ends up at Florida.
I could see Florida or Auburn. I could see him going and playing for Golish, especially with him being kind of a quarterback guy. All right, number 2. Let's pivot. Little college basketball. The Big 12 will send 2 teams to the Final Four. There are 4 teams that meet the national championship criteria of being ranked in this week's top 12 of the AP poll, which the national champion has appeared in the Week 6 top 12 every year since 2003. So we've got 4 teams in the top 12 this year, multiple teams in the Final Four this year from the Big 12.
Valid.
Yes, sir.
Finally found one not to avoid. Way to go. Good job, good effort, James. You did it. We already know Houston's going to be there. And at this point, Arizona's got, a team that I think has staying power because, look, shooting might get you there. I mean, Alabama, being a team almost entirely reliant on shooting percentages, has been there, I think, 2 straight years now. Did they go last year?
Who?
Alabama. Did they go to the Final Four last year?
Yeah, I think they did.
I think it's been 2 straight years for them. So percentages have played into them. I just like the style they play, and I feel like the bully ball style plays in the NCAA tournament. Now, hopefully you don't run into a team that just goes ham from 3, but I mean, I think you've got, at this point right now, 4 teams obviously in the top 12 that look like they could be Final Four teams, and Texas Tech was a win away last year from being a Final Four team, and the Big 12 having 2 teams. So, yeah, I think this is valid. I think the Big 12 will definitely send 2 teams to the Final Four this year because it feels like it's been coming for a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm. Alabama got beat last year in the Elite 8. They lost to Duke.
Auburn made the Final Four last year.
Thank you.
Auburn made the Final Four last year.
Is that a question, a concern?
I thought they lost in the Elite 8. But I can't remember. All right. I'm with you on that.
You're not a real sports fan. We know that.
By the way, Iowa State's number 2 in the latest Ken Palm rankings. Number 2 in the country in the Ken Palm. Valid or void. It's a game we play every Tuesday. Number 3.
Wow, I love that, by the way. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Iowa State 5th in offensive rating and 2nd in defensive rating. By the way, Arizona is 10th in defensive rating and 9th in offensive rating. They are 9th in the country in points per 100 possessions without being a high-volume three-point shooting team. It is a remarkable number. Mm-hmm. Most of the teams at the top of this are high-volume three-point shooting teams.
He's a baller. They're a baller. They're good.
They're
good
ballers.
Ballers, plural.
And then the last one, Houston's offense needs to improve. They're 30th right now in offensive efficiency, 6th in defensive efficiency.
I think they're going to be okay offensively. Kingston Flemings is a dude.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you got to look for teams that are top 10 in either offense or defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kansas is 8th in defense. They're 49th in offense. They need dramatic improvements in offense. Just look for teams that are top 10 in either of those 2.
Yeah, and I watch them, and they don't look like with Peterson, they can still score. All right, valid or void. Number 3, Jason McGowan. His $500 million net worth. He is the CEO and co-founder of Crumble Cookie. He will help lead BYU to the college football playoffs next season. Are they in next year?
What I want to know is,
they got the dollars.
Why do we keep giving Crumble Cookie all this free advertising? We haven't even gotten any cookies to speak of. Shout out Tiff's Treats. Let's go. How about free advertising for them? Their cookies aren't nearly as
your team Tiff
caloric. Yeah.
Yeah, we sent my dad some Tiff's cookies. They delivered them to his front door for his birthday.
First ever delivery service started out of Austin. Mm-hmm. Know some of the folks that were involved in starting that company.
Yeah, that was up in KC. I mean, they're Tiff's worldwide.
Yeah. Yeah. They started to do that, expand, and do these like ghost kitchens. It's really cool. Anyways, shout out Tiff's Treats. We don't need to give Crumble Cookie any more advertising.
Well, Jason McGowan, he dropped out of formal education after 8th grade. He dropped out at middle school, and he taught himself, yes, he dropped out at middle school. He taught himself web design and software development. I'm going to get really good at computers, and just worked his way up. Was working in high-tech companies. He's founded several digital ventures. Like, the cookie idea was his sister. His sister was a student at Utah State.
There you go.
Back in like 2017, she's like, I really like baking. And he's like, well, I really like tech stuff. Let's team up and make some cookies. I like computers and you like baking things.
Look, the reality is McGowan is very front and center, and he should be as the CEO of Crumble Cookie because it's giving him a lot of advertising. Shout out Tiff's Treats. But BYU has a lot of money. Like, it's not just McGowan. It's there are other multi-millionaires and billionaires as well that are involved here. So, but the question is,
will they get to the playoff?
Will they get to the playoff next year? And I mean, they've won 22 out of their last 26 football games now, if you include the Big 12 championship. So history suggests they're certainly going to be in the conversation, but they continue to be an afterthought when it comes to the committee. They weren't even mentioned as a part of the committee's rankings and reveal the other day. So just feels like such an uphill climb for BYU. But let's start it. Let's start to bring the discourse surrounding BYU to front and center, because somebody needs to do it. Might as well be us. So like I said, and answer the question. Let's say valid.
Thought you might.
Let's say valid.
I think they're in next year. Man, Big 12's going to, this year was good. Watch out. Next year, it's going to be insane with these teams. Like, Utah has their entire team coming back next year, outside of Fana.
Yeah, it'll be like going from Nintendo 64 to PlayStation 5.
Yeah, that's it. Do you know Tiffany Taylor? You said you know the people at Tiff's Treats. Do you know Leon Chen? Serious question.
What do you got going on over there?
This is the story. 1999, Austin, Texas. These University of Texas students, Tiffany Taylor, Tiff's Treats, and Leon Chen, they were dating. Well, she accidentally stood him up for a date. So she felt bad, and Tiffany Taylor baked him some warm chocolate chip cookies as an apology. And he said, you know what? We should sell these. These are delicious. They turned the idea into the first warm cookie delivery service. They would bake by hand. They would answer the phone. They would deliver out of their own personal vehicle. No funding, no business plan, just warm, delicious cookies. Delivered fast. They were Jimmy John's with a sweet tooth.
Good stuff.
That's it.
Yeah. Great cookies. Shout out Tiff's Treats.
All right, number 4.
But they're not, by the way, they're not Texas boosters, just so we're aware here.
They're not boost. Oh, gotcha. Got it.
Yeah, they're not UT boosters.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, valid or void. 5 Big 12 topics. Number 4. If we just took the top 12 teams from, maybe not the AP top 25, but if we just had the top 12 ranked teams, we got away with all these automatic bids, college football playoff, just took teams 1 through 12. Then we could just debate who those teams ranked 11 and 12 are. That would fix all of our college football playoff issues. BYU, by the way, would be in this instance for this season. Valid or void?
I'm sorry, what?
What are you doing?
No,
if we took the top 12 ranked
thank
teams.
you. Got it.
Top 12 ranked teams.
We were talking in circles there. There was something about rankings, and then I see the AP poll on here. Anything that involves the AP poll, I'm out on.
Right, I knew that. So that's why the caveat was maybe somebody else ranks these teams. But if we just ranked these teams 1 through 12, and that was your field for the college football playoff, are you here for that?
Wait, I mean, how unreasonable is that? Are you serious? What do you mean? You mean taking the 12 best teams decided by the committee and then having them play in a playoff against one another? That seems ridiculous. No. We need way more confusing criterias that, you've got to win this championship and that championship, and yeah, that's valid. That should be it. That should be it. Take the top 12 teams. My guess is because they've got to adjust every year, right? I mean, you can't keep things the same. Why would you do that? That's unreasonable.
No, who does that?
Because remember, you've got to overreact to what you just saw, even though some of the circumstances that went into what we just saw may not be there in the next season, but I digress. I think that the change that we'll get this year is it's only going to be 4 automatic bids.
Think we're just going to punt out the group of 5?
Well, so far, the group of 5 is 2 for 2 of being in the top 4. Remember, they finished higher ranked last year, too.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay. So in this
Clemson
case,
did.
Yeah, in this case,
they're 2 for 2 at beating the ACC.
It would eliminate.
Actually, 3 for 3 if you count the 2 teams that got it over the ACC this year. With automatic bids.
Boise State was higher ranked than the Big 12 champion last year. Were they higher ranked than the ACC too?
Yeah.
It's wild. Wild. Crazy. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
They were not higher ranked than Arizona State.
Boise State wasn't?
Were they?
I thought they were like number 7.
You remember, but last year they changed it to where if you won your conference, you got automatically a top 5 seed.
That's right. Okay.
So then they changed that to this year to where it doesn't matter, but I think next year it'll be top 4. They're going to change it and be like, you know what, we don't need 5. Let's do 4.
Yeah, because Arizona State had a bye.
We'll call it the Notre Dame rule.
Yeah. Notre Dame, what, if they're ranked now in the top 12 every year, they're automatically going to be in? That is the Notre Dame rule.
I do not know why. We have to bend over backwards for Notre Dame. I just don't get it. What are they going to do? What is Notre Dame going to do? What are we so scared about with Notre Dame? Why do we have to make these concessions to Notre Dame? Hey, Notre Dame, you're not in a conference and you're still a part of this conversation. UConn doesn't have that. So that's enough. Why do we have to make these ridiculous concessions? Are we worried they're going somewhere? Where is Notre Dame going that we're worried about it? I don't get it. Why do we have to make these concessions? It's insane.
Notre Dame apparently is going to leave the ACC.
Okay, fine.
You're going to leave us out of the college football playoff? We're going to take all of our sports and go home.
Go home. Where are you going? You still want to be in the playoff? Or we're going to start our own playoff. We're going to do the Notre Dame playoff where the best team in the country gets to play us every year because we know unquestionably that we deserve to be there because we won a national championship in 1988. We used to be relevant in football, and now we still are from a brand perspective, but we suck on the field because we don't play any good competition. Hi, Notre Dame. I just don't get it. Why do we have to make concessions to them?
Yeah, and we do.
What are we concerned about? Are we concerned they're going to leave? Where are they going? Where are they? Notre Dame, where are you going?
Maybe the Big 12. Well, I'd take them.
They're not going anywhere. Maybe they go to
they're not getting that massive
They're not even
payout
in the
this
ACC. They're in the ACC for all other sports. But for football, the one that matters the most, they're not even in. Where are they going? It's so stupid.
All right, Valor or Void, number 5. This is...
You ever seen a baby cry on national television?
This is...
Just watch Pete Pavakwa's interview he did with Dan Patrick.
All right, this is an opinion piece. We've seen some college football coaches get very emotional over the last week. Matt Campbell.
Aren't these all opinion pieces?
Yeah, I guess. Brought to tears at his press conference for Penn State. Chris Kleiman after the Utah game. Jamie Pollard.
Did you
Iowa
do this
State
because
athletic director.
I just fake cried? Is that why you did that?
Yeah, I think so. Big 12 today, fan rule number 101. Crying is allowed in football. That's it. Valor to Void.
Let me just quickly say that my 7-year-old son informed my wife and I that he happy cried for the first time in his life during Zootopia 2.
Oh, okay. But that felt good.
That was a bit off-putting. All of the things and the reasons for 7 years of existence.
I thought you were going to say he cried after the season came to an end in flag football.
But he referred to it as a happy cry.
Happy cry.
Yeah.
That's those yeah.
That would have been a sad cry. Happy cried. Zootopia 2, apparently. Who knew? It's a transformative movie.
Has he seen Titanic?
No, he's not seen Titanic, but he has also never seen Titanic.
I don't know why I threw another T in there.
There's
I was
enough
really
Ts.
trying to sell the T.
I mean,
Titanic.
You said it
Titanic.
If you would
so confidently. I was hoping I really thought there was a chance you might just gloss over.
Right. But you said it so it was not subtle enough to where I couldn't avoid it. You said it and you let it sit there too. You were like Titanic. That's gigantic with a T. Gigantic with a T.
Gigantic with a T. It's a gigantic ship, the Titanic. Crying is allowed in football because the sport will break you before it will bless you.
I just pictured Marcus Freeman throwing a hissy fit on the sideline, and that's what I picture with crying in football. Yeah, you look. I'm an emotional guy. Okay, I've been known to cry from time to time when the mood strikes.
Have you?
So I'm never going to disparage anybody crying under any circumstances. Now, on a football field, we saw Caleb Williams when he was in college, famously crying in his mom's arms. That was a bit off-putting, but I didn't hold it against him. But I feel press conference, yeah. Let's go. These are high. Even Jamie Pollard.
Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned him.
I did.
We saw Jamie Pollard tear up a little bit. The emotions get the most of you. Jamie Pollard, that's a happy cry we saw him do with Matt Campbell. He was, sad to see him leave, but happy for the incredible time that he put in. So yeah, I am allowing crying as the Big 12 Modelo fan rules. Number 79, crying is allowed in football.
I love it.
Absolutely. Where are you on crying?
Yeah, validate it. Matt Campbell's talking about his childhood heroes, his grandfather. Heck yeah. It's his dream job.
Cry.
Cry.
In fact, I'd be mad if you didn't cry.
Exactly.
You're at Penn State now,
Yes.
Matt. Cry.
Yes.
I want to see real, authentic tears.
If you don't cry, you're dead inside.
That's right.
Okay? All right, coming up next year on Big 12 Today, that is valid or void. We got a couple valids in there. 5 of the hot topics around the Big 12.
You got a passing grade this time. Way to go, James.
I think so. Yeah. Is that what we're going for? Am I trying to get you to validate these?
I don't know.
Because that'd be a whole different thing.
No, I don't
Whole
know.
different
That's
thing.
a good
10 out of
question.
10 there.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, we sat down, and by we, I mean not me, Ari, sat down with Joey McGuire, the Texas Tech football coach, Big 12 championship interview. We'll play that coming up next before we wrap up the program. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. This is the Big 12 Conference. We're brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo, here exclusively on TuneIn on the audio side and Big 12 Studios on the video side.
Well, the Big 12 championship is here, along with Taylor McHarg. I am Ari Temkin. So great to have you with us here from the Big 12 championship at AT&T Stadium between Texas Tech and BYU. And we are so excited right now to be joined by the head football coach at Texas Tech, Joey McGuire. And, you know, when you consider, Coach, that this is the first ever appearance for Texas Tech in a Big 12 championship game, with an opportunity for Texas Tech to win its first ever Big 12 championship in football, I mean, what does it mean to you personally and professionally to be leading this program onto the stage?
You know, honestly, it means everything. You know, I've gotten so many texts and emails and cards from Red Raiders. One of the greats, a punter for us and punted for the Chicago Bears, a Super Bowl winner in 1985, Maury Buford. He actually sent me a text saying, man, I'm texting this right now with tears in my eyes. I've been waiting 47 years for this team, you know, and so that's how it's been all week long. It's pretty incredible to get to this point.
Coach, if you go back to really all season, but especially the first matchup against BYU and everything that went into that game, you have College Game Day there. The eyes of the sport are on your program for that moment. How much do you think that benefits your team and just getting ready for this atmosphere that you're going to have today, where we're expecting to sell out? It's going to be a huge environment, but it feels like you guys have sort of been building to and getting used to these kinds of environments all season.
Yeah, you know, I think it's going to be a lot like what it was, you know, the environment and the energy today is going to be a lot like what it was on game day. And, you know, I know there'll be a great number of BYU Cougars, but Red Raider Nation is going to be at full effect today. Yeah, the Raider power is going to be deafening, and I expect us to have somewhat of a home field advantage. And then the energy that day, the energy in our stadium was incredible. I think it's going to be like that today, and I think it's going to give us an advantage.
When you look at the swings of this season, you know, the ups and downs, the growth moments, the setbacks, you know, what do you feel most shaped this team into one capable of reaching a Big 12 title game and being Big 12 champions potentially?
Well, I think it started winning that game at Utah. You're talking about one of the best teams in the nation. We're playing there. One of the greatest environments I've ever been a part of. I think that really started, and you had confidence in the team. Barron got banged up in that game, and Will came in and played great. Then you turn to me. I think there was a pivotal moment. We lost Skylar Gill-Howard in the Kansas game, and we lost Barron Morton. Then we turn around and we lose the one game we've lost this year. And Lee Hunter came into our head strength coach, Lance Barlow, and he said, what do I need to do so this doesn't happen again? And he said, Skylar is out. You have got to become the voice of this team. You know, because Skylar Gill-Howard really was the voice on and off the field. And he's a huge voice off the field now. You know, I always mess with Skylar. He has not been beat with him. We have not been beat with him on the sideline or on the field. But Lee really took that serious. And I'll never forget that Tuesday, our first practice after that loss, he called everybody out. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're on offense, defense, it was good and it was bad. I mean, he challenged everybody, and he's really become the vocal leader of this team.
Coach, going back to the first matchup again with BYU and getting after Bear Bachmeier, making him uncomfortable, getting them in third and long situations. You know, this team, it feels like, has been in a lot of ways defined by your pass rush. Your ability with your front seven on defense, I think, is the number one thing that jumps out to a lot of people. But it's not just guys like Romello Height and David Bailey. You mentioned Lee Hunter, but also Jaden Cofield. It feels like there's always somebody, whether it's one of the top names that we've mentioned, or maybe it's somebody that's just a backup or in that two deep, that it doesn't matter necessarily who it is. Somebody is getting after the quarterback each week.
Yeah, the depth, you know, that was one thing in the spring that we knew. The depth of this defense, especially the front, was just absolutely incredible. I'd never been a part of it. I mean, we had guys that were starting that, you know, the year before that became twos and in some cases threes that rotated through. So, you know, we're able to play a lot of guys up front. I think they played a really high standard. That's because of the starters, you know, and the standard whenever they step on the field has to be the same. We talk about it all the time, stop the run. if you stop the run, you've earned the right to rush the passer. And that's what we're going to try to do today. I mean, I think LJ Martin's carried the ball 88 times since the last time we played, and we are going to have to get after him today. And if we do, they're going to have to throw the football. And I'm just telling you, man, whenever you know that you've got to throw the football and you let Lee Hunter and David Bailey and Lamoa Height, Cofield and AJ Holmes, you let them pin their ears back, they are tough to block.
We're talking with Joey McGuire here, the head football coach at Texas Tech, and also congratulations on your extension. Obviously, well deserved after your first 3 years at Texas Tech. What a remarkable run it's been so far, and can't wait to see what the next 7 years hold for Texas Tech football, including obviously today's game and the future of this season. As we look at this game, Bear Bachmeier, what an interesting player from the standpoint of a true freshman. Wasn't at BYU in spring, comes in. And like, what kind of growth have you seen from him? And what have you seen when you watch film from the growth, even in a short period of time, like from last time you guys played them versus what you've seen from him in the last 3 games?
He's incredible. On Thursday, they came out with the top 4 freshmen, which always is interesting to me because a redshirt freshman and a freshman are really different. But I sent a tweet out like, how do we miss Bear? How do you take a kid that wasn't there at semester, that went through and learned a whole new offense, and he's playing at this level, that he's got his team in the Big 12 championship. He's 11-1. I mean, he is special. He's an impressive player. I know this is going to sound crazy and everything, but he's a true freshman. The guy, it is so hard to rattle him. And he's physical. He throws the ball, I think, at a very high level, will only get better. And then the dude's a throwback, man. He's wearing 47, man. Like, what? I've never met a quarterback with a single digit. It's hard enough for me to get him in 12, which is a quarterback. Most of them want single digits. This dude's wearing 47 like he's a linebacker just wanting to rip your face off. That's how he plays, man. I love the kid. For anything for the Big 12, for me, I voted for him. If I had a vote for freshman of the year, he would 100% get my vote. I think he's really special. That's what's so important with us, is stopping the run, because we do have to try to, get him off his mark and maybe try to do something more than what he's used to doing.
Coach, I want to ask you about your quarterback, Behren Morton. And I remember I had your opener in your first game, 2022. And I remember at the time you had Tyler Shuck, who was going to be the guy before he got injured. But you told us, man, our young guy, this Behren Morton kid from Eastland, he's going to be pretty good. And how special it is and how unique his journey is, that in this era of college football where guys move around quite a bit, that he has been there for so long. He's a West Texas kid. And you talk about getting to this first Big 12 championship and all the special things with this season, that you're led by a guy that sort of embodies Texas Tech in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you cut him, he's going to bleed red and black, man. He's all in. He was born here in Lubbock. His dad was a high school coach at Lubbock Monterey. Then they moved and still a West Texas high school coach at Midland Lee. Then he's a head coach at Eastland. And, he's just grown up out here. I mean, everything about him is West Texas tough. He's got a high football IQ. He has got great arm talent. And he is honestly the toughest player I've ever coached. There are a lot of players in the last 3 years, a lot of quarterbacks in the last 3 years that haven't played with certain things going on. And honestly, maybe if he's not at Texas Tech, he doesn't do this, because what a lot of people don't know is one of the toughest dudes playing, period, is Pat Mahomes. And Pat played with a lot of different things at Texas Tech. And I think that kind of was that West Texas. That's kind of what you are. And it inspired Behren to be that tough guy. And, man, he's his own worst enemy sometimes. I mean, sometimes I haven't said stuff, and then as of late, he's feeling really good. I've had to basically say, hey, look, this is what we are going to do. I know you don't like it, but let's make sure we do this. And he feels great, man. He's as healthy as he has been. And I'm going to tell you, this is a huge game for us today. We want the bye. Like, we want to be in the top 4, because if you give us a little bit more time off to where we can get totally healthy, that's where I think we can even play better.
Yeah, well said. I remember talking to you at Big 12 Media Days and saying, like, it's on you now. There's so much talent here. It's, the talent piece is there. It's on you to coach them up and get the best out of them. And you've really embraced that, obviously, by doing that. But what has this season done to challenge you? What's been maybe your biggest challenge this season?
My whole challenge from the get-go, whenever we put this roster together, and I can't thank the Matador Club and everybody that's a part of that, led by Cody Campbell, enough of what they did, to get these guys in. But mine was all about creating the team, the chemistry, the brotherhood, because there was no doubt talent was here, whether it was they were coming back and Jacob Rodriguez and Barron, Ben Roberts, John Curry, those guys, or they were added with David Bailey and Lee Hunter and just different guys, Reggie Virgil, Caleb Douglas decided to come back. So we had so much talent, but there's a lot of teams. Y'all see it all the time. I'm not going to call any universities out who've had payrolls or freshman classes that cost more than my entire team. And, there's different stuff that people couldn't get it done. It all goes back to the chemistry and how much they care about each other. And are they willing to work at the level that you need to work at to win at the level we want to win. I mean, that's the key. And so my job this whole time has been, hey, create great chemistry to where you can push these guys somewhere that they didn't think they could go or have never been before. Lee Hunter came to my office. It's probably after the Arizona State game too, and he goes, Coach, I've never won in college football. He had never been a part of a winning team. I don't think he's ever been to a bowl game. And he said, it's really important. And I said, well, just keep doing what you're doing and help me push these guys. And that's what they've done, man. This is the closest group I've ever coached. I've coached for 31 years. I know you can't tell with all the gray hair, but I've done this for a long time. This is the closest group I've ever been a part of.
Coach, we've got all sorts of storylines and things coming into this game that I think we already talked about pass rush. We've talked about physicality. We've talked about your quarterbacks. What's an area that has your attention that maybe is under the radar, whether that's a position group or a specific matchup that you're like, you know what, pay attention here, even if it's not one of the main storylines?
Yeah, I want to, there's three guys that I think it's really important to watch, and they have to play at a high level this weekend, and they did the first time. But like Jacob Rodriguez, he'll be the first one to tell you, man, it's because of the other guys around him, but he gets all the credit. But I'm going to tell you, John Curry, Ben Roberts, and Cole Wisniewski, number 6, number 13, and number 5. That's our strong safety star. That's our Mike linebacker, and that's our boundary safety. And those guys, they tackled at an elite level when we played them the first time, because you're tackling large humans when you're playing BYU. The quarterback and the running back alone is like 230 and 250. I don't care what they put on their roster. I mean, they're large humans. I think those three guys have got to play at a really high level. And then our offensive line, we didn't play our best when we played them. We got, Barron got hit 2 times because of him and 2 times because of the O-line and the running backs. I think we got to play at a better pad level. I think if our O-line plays with better pad level and then those 3 guys I've talked about, John and Ben and Cole, if they play really well, then we'll be in good shape.
I need to ask you about your T-shirt, the shirt you're wearing right now, because we were talking a little bit before. But yeah, make sure to stand up and show everybody the shirt you got on, and tell us about the Dead Rabbits.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Like, so Kenny Perry, who's the ultimate tough guy. I mean, he's a stud. Whenever he came here, he brought it with him. It's off the Gangs of New York. So The Toughest Gang in New York at the time is a great movie too. Are the Dead Rabbits. And so he named our walk-ons, and then any of those guys, walk-ons that made the special teams groups, the Dead Rabbits. Trent Lowe is actually the leader of the Dead Rabbits. But I'll tell you what was really cool too that he did. It's a little bit different now because of NIL and revenue sharing. But year 2 and year 3, he actually had a group of business owners get together, and there were like each year 5 to 6 guys that got an NIL deal with this group to help them pay for their school as walk-ons, and it's the Dead Rabbits. So like there's a group of guys, a couple of them will be on the sideline pregame. They have these shirts, they have hats, and they're really proud of being able to help some walk-ons, take some care of some of those bills and everything like that, and so really, really cool story. Just to kind of go back to college football and where we're going in one wrong direction is roster limits, because now you're going to have less dead rabbits, and you need if a kid wants to come to school and pay for his own way, I don't know why we would keep him off the roster. So not to get into what's wrong with college football and what's right with college football. What's right with college football is we got a bunch of dead rabbits that are going to play today in AT&T Stadium.
Coach, we'll get one more and get you out of here. We really appreciate you doing this. Just your kind of closing thoughts. I know it's not the time for reflection right now. You got a lot of football left to play this season, but just how special this run has been and how important this means, not just for your kids, but for this fan base.
Yeah, it's huge. I said it the first year, I think Ari and I talked about it, at Big 12 Media Day. Like, we pushed all our chips in, and whether it was pressure, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we knew that how important it was to get to this moment today, what all we did, and that the university and the administration went all in, and we got here. Now we got to finish it off, man. There's a trophy. I've got a place in the trophy room for that trophy. It's actually blank, except that it has a little block that says "Believe" on it. And man, we want to take that block off. I'll take another trophy out there and put that block next to go win another one. But we want to put that Big 12 trophy in that trophy room.
Love it. 34-17 in 4 years at Texas Tech. One of the great people and football coaches, Joey McGuire. Good luck today, Coach, and good luck the rest of the season. Thank you for your time and appreciate it very much.
Yeah, really appreciate it, Coach.
Thank y'all. Wreck 'em.
One final time here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio, heard exclusively on TuneIn. Ari's dancing again. Special thanks to Joey McGuire. Joined Ari and Taylor McCarg before the big ramp-up pregame show on Saturday before the Big 12 Championship. We also had David Smoke from the 365 Sports Channel and Travis Hines. Smokey joined us from Waco, the inside track on all things Baylor. Then Travis Hines, the Iowa State beat writer for the Des Moines Register, everything that's going on up in Ames. Those were our guests today. We are podcasting those interviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can catch them right here. Tune in on demand or on your screen on Big 12 Studios. What do you got going on the rest of the day?
Nothing.
That went as good as advertised. I thought, what could I possibly just ask him out of the blue to throw him off kilter? And that was it. What are your plans the rest of the day?
Maybe get a workout in.
What do you got going on?
Maybe get a workout in.
Okay.
Do some leg core day. I know you skip leg day. It's obvious in looking at you. That you skip
Wow.
leg day.
Wow. Well, these are all-American calves. These are 5-star calves.
Say what you will about the rest of my body.
Okay?
These calves, are you kidding me?
I'll
Have you seen
outpress
them?
you any day.
You're going to calf raise me?
I'll calf raise you till the sun comes up.
We should hear from Tabin. Our producer, Tabin, T. Chains, is back from his vacation. He went on an 8-day cruise. Where'd you go, Tabin? You went to Honduras?
Yeah, I went to Roatan, Honduras. I went to Cozumel. I went to Bacalan, Mexico, and Costa Maya, Mexico.
Honduras is an interesting place, is it not? It sounds like a...
It is a beautiful, the views were incredible. Obviously, it's an impoverished country. It has its issues, but the people there were super friendly, super humble. I know they deal with tourists all the time. I get that.
Yeah, they deal with these really rich people getting off cruise ships and coming to their port.
Oh man, I would hate those
pretty
people.
much. Yeah, but they were, I did a lot of in Honduras. I went ziplining. I went to the beach. Ziplining is incredible. Anyone who hasn't done it, I totally highly recommend it. It was my first time.
Aren't you afraid of heights?
No, I'm not.
He's not.
No.
He's not afraid of
Did you
heights.
just make that up?
I think apparently.
He's afraid of ketchup, not heights.
Yeah, come on.
Peanut butter. I know that.
Yeah, peanut butter and mustard. I'm not a fan
Mustard
of
too. Okay.
But no,
Mustard!
I go 1,100 feet going 60 miles an hour on a rope.
60 miles an hour?
60 miles an
You got
hour.
260 horses under that hood.
Yeah, over a forest, a jungle.
Okay.
Where they tell you there are cats, lions, iguanas, all underneath.
I love how he included cats, lions, and iguanas.
Iguanas.
Yeah,
You got to be fearful of those
I see
iguanas.
an iguana.
Well, the thing is, I bring that up because iguanas are very popular in Honduras. They eat iguana in Honduras.
They eat iguana?
They hunt them and eat them, yes. They said it tastes like chicken. I was going to have some. I went to a
They
restaurant.
said it tastes like chicken.
All that stuff like alligator and probably iguana. It's the texture's off. It's a texture thing for me.
Yeah. I don't think you're eating the skin, James. I don't.
I know you're. Have you ever had alligator?
Yeah,
I have, yes.
delicious.
You like it?
Yeah, it's very satisfying to eat an
Just
alligator.
it's
'Cause
chewy. I don't know.
I
It's
feel
not
like
my
with
thing.
iguanas, it's like, well, they wouldn't eat me, but an alligator, it's like give me all of the.
I'm gonna
Payback.
get mine.
No, don't ask me about chicken or cow or pig because I will eat them despite the fact that they will not eat me. But I can just get a very serious satisfaction out of eating things that I know would eat me if given the chance.
All right, like dinosaurs. What else did you do?
Like dinosaurs is where he went.
I drove a speedboat across the Caribbean. It was that also went 60 to 70 miles an hour, and you get soaked. You're in a line with like 8 or 9 other boats, and you're going in circles. You're going in twists.
You drove?
I did.
Why?
Well, my wife drove first. I drove back.
You just rented a speedboat?
Yeah.
And you were like, let's just go 60 and see how many spins we can
See
do.
how it goes.
See how many spins
There's
we can
no
do.
traffic laws on the water.
No,
There are.
I wish that there's
there?
a picture of me and my wife.
I
If
don't
anyone could see, that's us going very fast. They're
Okay.
taking pictures of us.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was incredible, and you get wet. It's a hot day. It's 90-something degrees, so the water feels really good and refreshing.
That feels satisfying.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was very nice. Food was good. A lot of good people, a lot of drinks. I mean, you do drink on a bar. You do drink on a cruise. I told somebody.
You drink on a bar.
I told somebody.
It is a moving
You said
bar.
that like you're afraid we're going to shame you.
Yeah,
Like, you're on vacation,
Well,
Damon. It's
I
fine.
told somebody that we met in the bar. It was their first cruise.
We do. There's a little bit of alcohol.
I told them you get the drinking package because drinking on a cruise is like fries and ketchup. They just go together. It's what you're supposed to do. And she enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. My bartender, shout out to Wira. That was her name. She was from the Philippines. Best bartender I've
Telling you,
ever had.
the cruise. I don't know. I've never met more people from the Philippines than on a cruise ship. I don't know what it is. The cruise ship I went on in Alaska,
Same thing. Huh?
all Filipino people, because it says in the name tag where they're from.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about cruise ships in the Philippines.
What did you write on your name tag? America?
No,
Apostrophe America?
It's the staff that wears name tags.
Texas?
James, the people.
No, it's got to be the people.
I ran
Sounds
into
way more fun.
I ran into a bartender that was on my last cruise.
Wow.
Small world of
Yeah.
bartender cruise peeps.
Yeah, from 2 years ago.
Did he remember you?
He did. He remembered because he started talking about the Mavs. And they started talking about Kyrie Irving. Because the last time
See, he's
I
talking
saw
about
him,
you too.
Kyrie Irving signed a contract extension.
Well, did you tell him that you work with somebody that feels like he's the most overrated player in the history of the game?
I did, and he responded with, well, LeBron James, when Kyrie and LeBron play with each other, he thinks LeBron is the most overrated player in the NBA, despite him being great.
So the Mavs, by the way, are off to a great start. And I looked this up. Apparently, Kyrie Irving is out. Who could have thought that? Who could have expected Kyrie
by
Irving
that.
to actually play in the games?
You know, hearing that, I'm disappointed because I told James I was going to do something that I didn't do.
Which was talk smack
What
about
is that?
UConn beating
Yes.
Kansas.
I was going to send a video from the
But you didn't. We didn't hear anything from you.
I know.
At least I didn't. Maybe there's a side chat that I'm not aware of,
No,
but
there
I
is.
didn't hear anything
There
about
is.
it. There always,
It's
there
hot.
always is.
It's
My service was terrible. But, yeah, I wanted to do, like,
congrats.
being on the beach and be like, hey, Ari, how you doing, buddy? Just wanted
Did you? I don't know if you noticed this, but all of the people that cover UConn basically just started were tweeting and writing about how amazing Allen Fieldhouse is. I don't like.
I do wanna go.
I'm not joking. Like, basically said that it puts whatever you call your little cute
Gamble.
stadium. Yeah,
Gamble.
yeah, the pavilion or whatever.
Gamble on Gamble.
It puts it to shame, apparently, according to the people that would know. And look, UConn also did not have one of their best players, so I'm not going to make the Darren Peterson excuse, but they did shoot. Kansas shot 5 for 20 the second half of that. So,
I got a headline update while I was on the cruise, and I just laughed. I was like,
yeah, it was a disappointing loss. I was very
KU's gonna
upset
be
about
fine.
it.
KU is going to be fine.
They're the 49th ranked offense according to Ken Palm, and I'm telling you, watching Kansas basketball for me is an excruciating experience. It just
all right, the first time I ever go to Allen Fieldhouse, I wanted to be with you.
all right.
I don't think that's a good idea at all. If they're playing UConn, nope.
Well, it won't happen again, I don't think. I think the next time they'll play at whatever that cute arena they play in is, the little
The Bample.
Gamble.
the
The
Mickey
Gamble. The Bample.
little Mickey Mouse
Gamble.
house they play. at
Mickey
UConn.
Mouse house. I like it. Shots fired.
They've
Is that
won,
one-
they've
is
won
that one in
championships
stores?
there every decade. Yeah, that one's in.
That one's actually in stores.
in
the
Bristol.
XL Center's in Hartford. That's where they also play.
Yeah.
half the year.
Here for it. Love it.
No, you're right. They've won championships. Not at
Every
Guys,
decade.
not at the Mickey Mouse Club. but-
every decade of my lifetime, UConn has won.
I'm not prepared to moderate this right now in real time. Maybe tomorrow. We got to wrap up the show. Special thanks to our guest, David Smoke from 365 Sports. Also, Travis Hines, Iowa State for the Des Moines Register. And then we had a replay of Joey McGuire leading up to the Big 12 championship game tomorrow. Shahan Jayaraja from CBS Sports will be in studio with us for the last hour of the show. We are on each and every weekday, 8 to 11 Eastern Time, 7 to 10 Central, here exclusively on your home for the Big 12 Radio. Brought to you by Modelo. For Ari Timken, for T-Chains, Taman, our producer, for Anthony Smith, I'm James Westlane. We'll talk to you tomorrow. We're out.